Today on
Doomed!
Liars and trolls are faking and forging and duping people in order to spread fake news about the shootings in Buffalo and Uvalde over the past couple of weeks. I mean, I know, surprising. Someone is lying on the internet. But the story behind this one is very interesting, if you ask me. And what the lie is and how the lie was spread sort of gives you an idea of where things are going, where things are heading, and just how easy it is for like just the most basic shit to be made up and spread, and people just fall for it. And plus, on top of it, it was an exclusive report from yours truly, Matt Binder. Here I am on the feed right now. How are you all doing tonight? Welcome to Doomed. And it's been a little while since I've had a solo show. And, usually I would put one together when, a guest would cancel or just there was a scheduling conflict and I didn't have someone to interview. But this week, I actually wanted to do this because, A, it's like I said, it's been a while. And B, I wanted to get to this report. I've actually missed a number of original reporting that I wanted to talk about on this show over the past couple of months because I was just so filled with great guests to have on the show that it didn't make sense to not have them. But this week I was like, hold up. And one bonus about it being a Matt Binder solo episode of Doomed is that there's not someone on the other end right now of the phones who I'd feel awkward just having sit there and wait while I did some selfless promotion. So I will do some selfless promotion now. No, but for real. This episode of Doomed is a story about an exclusive report that I tracked down and covered that no one else was getting to. You may or may not have seen these lies going around. This was extremely viral on some platforms and completely honestly, just invisible on others. It was interesting to see. I saw it spread a lot on right-wing platforms. It was obviously spreading around on 4chan. It was spreading on Twitter and Facebook. Could not find it at least so much on TikTok or Instagram, but maybe it was there. And those platforms aren't the best for searching for things, to be quite frank. But yeah, it's something that I saw going around a lot. And I thought to myself, this isn't adding up. This doesn't pass the red flags. Doesn't pass the muster. Is that what they say? And so I looked into it and I really kept on it. And, I got to the bottom of it. This is something different than you'll see on other channels. A lot of other channels like to analyze the news or read articles of other people reporting on the news or reading articles of other people's write-ups of other people's reportings of the news. No. Here, when you tune into a Matt Binder program, whether it be Doomed or Scam Economy or anything else I come up with in the future, you get exclusives that you could not find anywhere else because, folks, I do the work. So patreon.com/Matt Binder, if you can support this show. By supporting this show, what I mean is you support everything I do. You help allow me more time to look into things, to create more original content, to be able to simply even just repurpose content that I do on these hours-long streams, so I can get people who don't sit down and watch hours-long streams. So I can get them to watch, a couple minutes of content, 10, 20 minutes of content. So patreon.com/MattBinder. Anything you can give to support the show is a big help. Subscribe to the YouTube channel at youtube.com/MattBinder. If you're watching the live stream, you can drop a super chat. I will read your super chats on the second half of the show. If you are not watching the live stream, YouTube has a new feature called Super Thanks. You can see it right by the title, like right next to the title of the video on the replay, like the replay that you could access on my YouTube channel at any time. It's a little button called Super Thanks. It works just like Super Chat. You could also support this show by following me on Twitch, twitch.tv/MattBinder, and subscribing to the Twitch channel. That's a paid subscription. If you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, there is no reason why you shouldn't connect your Amazon Prime subscription to your Twitch account, because in doing so, Amazon gives you a free Twitch Prime subscription each month. That's literally free money to give to your favorite Twitch streamer. Now, while I'd prefer that you give it to me, I just think you should use it in general. So if you don't give it to me, that's cool. Again, preferable that it's to me. But if you don't, that's cool. Just give it to somebody, because you're basically just letting Amazon keep extra money. If your Twitch Prime subscription to one Twitch creator each month, they do not automatically renew. So when the Twitch Prime subscription lapses, you need to manually give it to that creator again, or a brand new creator the following month. It's a great way to support your faves if you can't afford to give extra money and you're an Amazon Prime subscriber. And I understand why you'd be an Amazon Prime subscriber even if times are tough, because you get that Amazon Prime free delivery. I totally understand. Also, doomedcast.com for the podcast version of this show. Scameconomy.com for the podcast version of that show. Leave an iTunes and Spotify review at iTunes. No, not iTunes. It's not iTunes anymore. It has been iTunes for years. Apple Podcasts or Spotify review. Just go to either program. Search Doomed with Matt Binder. Search Scam Economy. Click the rating button. It's that simple. If you'd like to leave a written review, that's cool. If you don't, that's fine too. I will open up the Skype calls following the coverage of my report. So let's say about, you guys know I could ramble sometimes. I'm gonna try to keep this to about 30 minutes, I would say, because then the whole first half of the show will be that 45 minutes that I'd like it to be. But I always go long with guests and end up doing like an hour and a half on the first freebie half of the show. I'm going to try to do the 45 minutes, maybe even less. So freebies have to, feel compelled, I guess, to join. But I will open up the Skype calls then. So patience, everybody. So let's get to this. So again, like I said earlier on, people are lying on the internet. Not totally shocking. But it's still, you should still understand what's going on so you don't fall, quite frankly, victim to perpetuating these falsehoods and misinformation campaigns and, straight up troll-like behavior. For example, you probably heard, and I believe I was the first to cover this one too, at least everyone was crediting me at the time, when it came to the Uvalde shooting, the day of the shooting, horrendous school shooting where 19 kids, 19 students were shot and killed, 21 total died. Horrible event. And, you probably heard about the complete failures of the police and everything. But that day, the news story going around the social media platforms was that the shooter was a trans person. And this was something that was perpetuated by a ton of right-wing personalities. Candace Owens was even spreading the lies the next day that he was a cross-dresser based on the photos, she said. But again, there were no photos of the shooter cross-dressing or being trans or any of that. It was a complete lie manufactured by 4chan trolls and 4chan far right wingers, who then spread this lie to more mainstream social media platforms, where it was then picked up by right wingers who saw this as confirmation bias, and then they spread it as fact without doing any basic research or just fact checking, or even just seeing if a news like a legit, even their own, like even like Fox News, to see if Fox News or the New York Post was reporting this. This failure on every level, I should say, for any of them to even care enough. But of course, obviously, was it a failure on every level, or was it exactly what they wanted? But yeah, you probably heard about that, where two completely innocent trans women who were like in their early 20s, the both of them. I spoke to both these women. One of the trans women was from New York, and the other trans woman was from Georgia, I believe. Neither had any ties to Texas or the school or the shooter. Basically, 4chan assholes just decided to search for pictures of trans women, and I guess they plucked ones that had some sort of resemblance to the shooter, and then they just ran with it because they could. And if you look on 4chan at the time, they were literally saying, just spread this shit. We know it's not true. Just spread this shit. We're going to fuck with these people. We want to tie this to the trans community. And that's how that spread. One of the trans women ended up having to locking down her account after trying to show people that the photo was of hers, and she posted photos of herself alive, unlike the shooter, who was dead at the time. And then another trans woman did not lock down, and she was going in full throttle trying to shut the whole misinformation and smears, quite frankly, down. And she again also was posting photos of herself alive, unlike the shooter. Yet again, you had Andrew Torba, the owner of the right-wing social media platform Gab, sharing this to his millions of followers. Candace Owens running with it. So yeah, I mean, this was something that was very well covered. And I think you mostly heard of that one. But then there's this one that I don't think a lot of people had heard of. Enough, in my estimation. I saw this really going viral, again, in some specific corners of the internet. I saw this on Parler, Getter, Truth Social, the right-wing platforms. It was big on BitChute and Odyssey, which is another contrarian video platform. Rumble, I saw a few clips on there. And even on YouTube, I caught a few videos of people investigating the screenshots. And what I'm talking about is, and I'm not sure if you've seen them. Let me pull this up here for you guys. You might have seen this screenshot of a Discord user going by the name Armand, who was claiming, who in the screenshot, I should say, was shown having conversation with the shooter. The Buffalo shooter, I should say. The shooter, the white supremacist shooter who drove to that supermarket in Buffalo specifically to kill black people, and then he ended up killing 10 people in that supermarket, the vast majority of those people being black. And, he actually was caught. But he's the one who actually released a manifesto, and then there were Discord logs released of his Discord server. And this was one of those screenshots that are being passed around that claim to be of his Discord. And it showed a user named Armand apparently having conversation with the Buffalo shooter. And this was used as proof that the Buffalo shooter was actually groomed. There's that word, groomed. This is the word they were using in these chats and everything. Groomed by someone. I saw some speculation it was the FBI. All sorts of different speculation, though, of proof that the Buffalo shooter was being groomed to do this. Obviously, it couldn't have been the white supremacist rhetoric that he shared in his manifesto and in his Discord logs, where he lays plainly that this is why I'm doing it, because I believe this white supremacist rhetoric. I believe the great replacement theory that is spouted out by white supremacists and all sorts of far-right figures, people like Lauren Southern and Stefan Molyneux spread this stuff for a long time, for years and years and years. Couldn't have been this stuff. It had to be what's shown in this screenshot that alleges to show someone convincing the Buffalo shooter to commit his atrocity. Well, I have, and I've had for, since, honestly, the Buffalo shooting at the beginning of May, early May. I believe it was the 14th of May, Saturday, May 14th. I have the Discord logs. And when I was looking through those Discord logs, something didn't seem right. I'm scrolling through these Discord logs, and it's just not matching up with these screens. And that screenshot I showed you of that Armand was just one of many claiming to show a Discord user named Armand conversing with the Buffalo shooter in his Discord server. But the logs I had just weren't adding up, and I know that the logs I have are legit. Why? Because A, I got them from a very legitimate source. B, the Discord logs I have exclusive photos of the shooter and taken by the shooter, that literally selfies of him and selfies of his gun that we all have seen, with his gun, I should say, and pictures of his gun that we've all seen. But these photos are photos that have not been released to the public, or weren't released to the public until days or maybe weeks after the shooting happened. And I had these Discord logs from before all that. And I'm looking at these Discord logs. Again, these legit Discord logs. And they are not matching what is being shown in these screenshots. And I saw some speculation that were these logs edited by someone, but the logs themselves were released and saved by the shooter himself. Or copies were distributed from a few people who were given access to the shooter's Discord server 30 minutes before he began his shooting spree at that supermarket in Buffalo. Think about what I just said. 30 minutes before. So let's rewind now. But wait, these Discord screenshots that I just showed you, or these ones saying they were screenshots of Discord, claim to show a conversation between Armand and the shooter in March of this year in Discord. But Matt, you just told us that he gave access to people 30 minutes before the shooting on May 14th. So what's going on? Here's what's going on. The shooter kept a private Discord server that he kept as a diary. This has been confirmed by Discord themselves, the company that runs the platform Discord, that owns and operates and created this platform. It's, if you're not familiar with Discord is, it's like a chat platform. It was originally created for gamers so they could do audio and text chats while playing online gaming with their friends. And then it just blew up in all sorts of different hobbies and niches and industries. And basically a ton of people now have Discord servers, basically like chat rooms, for whatever they do. And this shooter kept the Discord server on private with just him as a member. And he wrote all this stuff as he prepared to go on his his mass shooting spree. And Discord also confirmed that the people who did get access into it were only invited 30 minutes before May. He went to that supermarket in Buffalo on May 14th, and he did so he invited those people in order to give them access to the Twitch stream. That's right. If you weren't familiar, he did a horrible live Twitch stream of his shooting, live as he did it, and that's how he gave access to people. So what does that mean about those Armand screenshots? Well, here's what that means. Let me pull up the screen here. This is my report. What it means is those screenshots are fake. They're fake. They're fake. And they're fake because, A, what I just told you, Discord has gone on the record and said that no one had access to this server until 30 minutes before the shooting on May 14th, which means these March logs are inaccurate. They're fake because I and anyone else who has the real legit Discord logs know this conversation is not in those Discord logs. And then C, exclusively to me, I can confirm that a Discord representative said that the company has strong evidence to suggest that the user Armand faked an interaction with the shooting suspect in Buffalo using multiple Discord accounts. So Discord, is saying through the information that they have on their end, the evidence they have on their end, that they believe, again, based on their evidence, that someone used multiple Discord accounts to make this fake interaction. I can also tell you that from the Discord, the legit Discord logs, what is fake here, you might be asking. Okay, so the statements from Jim Bob here, which is the shooter, those are actually lifted from the actual legit logs, except for that word yes right there. See, whoever faked these logs took paragraphs from the actual logs and inserted fake quotes from a user named Armand. And to make it look like this isn't a conversation that was actually happening, because otherwise, if you just go Armand and then Jim Bob, Armand and then Jim Bob, you see that, hey, Jim Bob's not even recognizing what Armand is writing based on what's here. So the forgerer had to throw that yes in there to just make it seem like the shooter was acknowledging Armand in the server chat. It's bullshit. It's just not real. Now, I know there are people who are going to say, but there's that news story out there where there's an FBI agent. I'll get to that in a minute. Or an alleged FBI agent or retired authority. We'll get to that in a minute. Because the trolls... No, from my investigation too, I should say, it seems like these screenshots originated on 4chan. And from there, they basically spread everywhere. Again, these didn't go as mainstream as the horrible trans disinformation campaign trying to tie trans people to the Uvalde shooting. But these were being spread in conspiratorial circles, and they were going very viral. I'm talking, in some instances, tens of thousands of shares on some posts I saw on this. And I saw this, and when I first saw this, I actually thought it would die down, and it actually started to die down. This is before my report came out even, and I thought, maybe I won't even end up writing this because it's not worth it. It's dying down. It's sort of going away, and why am I going to write something about it if it's already going away? But then the Uvalde shooting happened, and this gained legs bigger than it did even before. Because really quickly, this started going around. A screenshot claiming to show that same Armand foreshadowing in Telegram that there will be a shooting in Texas in 13 days. And then that Telegram screenshot was spread around in a Discord channel, which was then screenshot. So you had a screenshot within a screenshot, and it was spread on 4chan and 8kun it is now instead of 8chan. And then this one spread even more than the previous one. That was the Boston screenshot, the Buffalo screenshot on, Twitter and YouTube, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And now, I'm showing you right here. I can confirm that obviously this one is fake too. How can I confirm this is fake? Well, number one, I just told you how that Armand is made up. Armand of Discord is not a real person. Armand is completely manufactured via some troll campaign on 4chan from the best I can track. And from there, Armand took on a life of its own where an individual, a former moderator of a 4chan offshoot named FriendsChan, Frens, that's right, the word that 4chan Nazis used and then was picked up by the cryptocurrency Web3 people. Don't get me started there. That's another tangent for a different show called Scam Economy. But FriendsChan basically then had to come out because this started to spread. And this was then connecting FriendsChan to the Uvalde and Buffalo shooting because here you go. The point of this screenshot was to say, hey, look, here's Armand from the Buffalo shooting also grooming the Uvalde shooter because how else would he know? And then there were also forged chats showing interaction, just like there was faked interaction between the Buffalo shooter and Armand. They were faked chats showing interaction between the Uvalde school shooter and Armand. But this is the main one that spread here when it came to Uvalde. And so it was being used to connect the two. Oh, this isn't a white supremacist shooting. This isn't a messed up guy who was able to go out and buy a gun on his 18th birthday and then commit a horrible act just a few days later. So, we don't want to talk about white supremacy. We don't want to talk about guns. So what we'll do is we'll manufacture this shit that just basically writes it all away as, hey, conspiracy theorists. Hey, do your own research, question everything, folks. Hey, right-wingers. Here's an easy pass for you to get the conversation away from white supremacists, get the conversation away from gun issues. What really happened here is the FBI or the government or someone else groomed these two to actually commit this just so, they have some other larger nefarious plans that has nothing to do with the actual issues. That's the purpose of this. And because FriendsChan was pulled into it, FriendsChan, the website, had to actually come out. And their administrators put this super long statement up that, again, most people don't even know what FriendsChan is. So they didn't even know that in addition to Discord knocking this down by saying earlier when it comes to the Buffalo Discord logs, Discord shot this down by saying, Armand is just not, a thing. Armand was made up and his interactions with the shooter were made up. So aside from that completely making this whole scenario fall apart, Friends Chan administrators had to come out and debunk all this. And what they came up with was, in their own looking into this investigation to basically exonerate their website from, being pulled into this, was that, a moderator of their website actually put this all together. And they ended up kicking the moderator, removing his moderation privileges. And because that guy was basically exiled from the community, he came back on the statement thread and tried to make good with them by admitting that, yeah, everything you guys uncovered is true. So, I mean, what we have here is just proof how easy it is for this shit to spread, and how no one who looked at these screenshots basically did any sort of questioning of, what are these screenshots? What am I seeing here? What is being shown to me? How you could just see, if I see a screenshot, I immediately, the first thing I do is go, okay, I need to figure out the source of this screenshot. Where is it coming from? I mean, if it's a tweet, it's really easy. You look at the tweet screenshot, you open up Twitter, you type in a few words from that are shown in the screenshot in the Twitter search, and the tweet will come up. Or if the tweet was deleted, you use, Internet Archive or archive.is. And if those two sources don't have it, you can usually find replies to the deleted tweet, which will then authenticate that at least a tweet existed. And then you could try to find a respected source who has a copy of the deleted tweet that they screenshotted themselves. If it's of a website, again, you do the same thing. You try to find the original. If you can't find the original, you try to find an archive. If you can't find the archive, you find a screenshot from a reputable source. This was just pulling screenshots from 4chan and throwing this shit out there. Ridiculous. Ridiculous. You have confirmation from Discord. You have confirmation from literally one of the websites where one of these screenshots perpetuated from, because they wanted to exonerate themselves from being connected to this shit. You have the actual legit Buffalo Discord logs out there. You have people who did have access to those Discord logs saying, we only got this shit the day of this happened, which means, how would we have had a conversation with this guy in March? I mean, listen, I'm obviously, if you're a troll spreading this, or someone who operates purposely in bad faith, I'm not questioning why you're doing it. I know why you're doing it. And you're going to keep doing it. All right. I mean, that's who you are. Fine. I don't give a shit. But if you're someone who spread this shit, it was oh my God, look, this is real. I literally saw some actual right-wingers who try to be legitimate do hour-long investigation into who Armand could be on YouTube. Taking this for real, seriously. And I brought up earlier about there are reports that police and authorities were looking into the fact that the Buffalo shooter may have had some sort of contact prior to a retired agent of some sort. It was unclear to me if it was a federal agent, unclear to me if it was just a local PD. This is still alleged. That information is not confirmed yet, but I've seen those reports from legitimate news outlets. I cannot confirm or deny that he had some sort of interaction with some retired cop of some sort. What I'm able to confirm is that this doesn't show shit. Armand does not exist. It's believed. By the way, though, I mean, come on. If he had interaction with a retired cop, that's not none too surprising. Because I mean, come on. What's the Rage Against the Machine lyric? Come on. I mean, it shouldn't. Do I gotta spell it out for you guys? Those who join forces also burn crosses. Come on, you got that's not the verbatim one. But come on, you guys know. Let's say it all together. I mean, yeah, shocking that a cop would be racist. They're they're looking into apparently if that's even true. But yeah, this Armin guy not does not exist. These aren't legitimate screenshots. Any knowledge that was had prior by anyone, this isn't it. And there is no tie at all between the Buffalo and Uvalde shooting. They were for two completely different reasons. One guy has been explicit that he was motivated by his white supremacist beliefs. And another guy just looked like he had issues and wanted to go out and do something horrible on his way out. And this is the sort of shit you see. Like, just this past weekend, there was all this, trolls and professional liars sharing this photo of a young girl slipping $1 in what they said was a drag queen's bikini or something, trying to smear what was an all ages pride drag show performance in Dallas. They need to find that photo, and I should say up front, I guess, that photo that's being passed around by all of them. It's not real. It's not from that event. It's a completely unrelated photo from like 3 years ago, showing a cis woman, not even a trans woman. It's a biological woman, and an event from 3 years ago, interacting with a kid. The actual drag performance during Pride in Dallas from this past weekend, it was like, there's actual videos from that. It's like drag queens doing like the equivalent of like jazz dance performances and stuff like that. And then they bring the kids on stage to do the runway walk with them. The strike a pose thing. And you had like little boys doing like the Hulkamania poses. So they weren't even like trying to, influence your kids into being like gay and fabulous. They were literally just letting kids, show their own personal way of being confident, self-confidence. But that's too much to handle. God forbid. It's amazing how, the professional liars have to make up shit because they know what they actually want to, lie about or create outrage about on its own. The actual thing on its own, on its face, isn't enough for most normal people to either care about or be outraged over. So they have to lie about it. When it comes, whether it's shootings or events in the LGBTQ plus community, they have to lie about this shit. They have to lie about it. And of course, you won't see them caring about the protesters who went outside, who were shouting truly horrendous shit at the children who were waiting outside the venue to go to the show. Way worse than anything they saw inside the event. Seeing, Christian fascists holding their Bible, waving the American flag. A bunch of 20-year-old incels with no kids. That's what I love too. The vast majority of these people have no kids. They know nothing about what it's like being a parent. Nothing. And also, I love the thing too. Their argument about what we've been seeing in like Texas and Florida when it comes to like banning gender conversations or LGBTQ talk in schools. It's all because we want parents, on the auspice, by the way, we want parents to be able to decide when to introduce these things to children if they want to introduce these things to their kids. They're my kids, right? That's their whole thing. You want to give them that? I don't fully agree. I think it's a combination of things because we live in a society, folks. We live in a society. But no, it's true. We live in a society, and it's a combination of parents and also societal influence, quite frankly. I mean, that's how parents decide how to raise their kids. That's why hardcore Christian parents raise their children differently than, I don't know, agnostic or non-religious parents. That's why a family in like the reddest part of, I don't know, Missouri is raising their kid differently than a family in the bluest part of New York. Who is influencing that? Who's telling them that? Their community, their society. But anyway, fine. Let's give them their argument. I don't want anyone telling me how to raise my kids. These are my kids. I want this shit out of school so I can introduce it if I want to, when I want to. All right. Fast forward now to this weekend. Oh, parents are choosing how to introduce this stuff to their children? We can't have that. All of a sudden, what's the right wing's rhetoric? Keep those LGBTQ people away from our kids. All of a sudden, my kids, my own children, who are my children apparently when it comes to what they could learn about in school, but when it comes to how I want to raise my kids, now my children are our children. That's this shit. It's just an extension of that. They will lie. They will, if they're not the ones creating the lie, they will pull that shit into, they will pull the fakeries and forgeries and disingenuous bullshit into it without doing any care in the world, any research or anything like that. But that's what they'll do. That's what they'll do. No shame. No shame at all. No shame at all. All right, let's go to the second half of the show. Folks, to support this show, go to patreon.com/MattBinder. You can also support this show. Again, I haven't done this in a while because I've been so busy. Let me thank the patrons. Again, to show you just how important the patrons are. I'm going to read a whole bunch of patrons right now. Let me really thank a bunch of patrons. When was the last time I read? All right, let's go back to the last time here. All right, let's go back. Here we go. Adam B, Sam G, Na K, David M, Dylan D, Jeannie L, Nick W, Michael P, two Michael P. There's another Michael P. They have different last names, but Joseph T, Danny L, Brian B, Richard M, Anthony R, Gerald W, Stephen S, Fitz B, Jeremy D, Brendan M, Cameron R, Eric S, Josie, Burion, Todd B, Chris S, Claire C, Matt S, John H, Ben S, Charles Z, Sharky Xmas, Nathan G, Carlos RM, Andrew S, Comrade Cy, Lauren S, Matthew R., Melizond, and Johnny K. I'll read a few more. Daniel W., Jane S., David R., Philip, Todd G., and Kate B. Thank you all so much for becoming patrons over the past few weeks. Really important help you guys provide in, being able for me to grow this show, quite frankly. And without you, none of this is possible. Really. I mean, I can't do this show without my patrons. So thank you for your support. And if you'd like to support the show, go to patreon.com/MattBinder. You can also leave a super chat if you're watching live at youtube.com/MattBinder, or drop a super thanks before, after, when the replay, if you catch the replay. You can also support this show by going to twitch.tv/MattBinder. Subscribe there if you'd like. Or if you're an Amazon Prime subscriber, connect Amazon Prime to your twitch.tv account, and you will get a free Twitch Prime subscription. Using that, you can give basically free money. You're basically taking money Amazon would keep if you don't use it, and you could give it to your favorite creator. Hopefully that's me. If it's not me, that's fine. But I'd rather you use it on somebody than let Amazon just keep money they want to give you anyway. So give me a Twitch Prime subscription if you'd like. Again, absolutely free. Doomedcast.com for the podcast version of this show. Scameconomy.com for the podcast version of Scam Economy. Leave podcast reviews at Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Just search Doomed with Matt Binder. Search Scam Economy. What else? I think follow me on Twitter at Matt Binder. Follow me on Instagram. Although I gotta get using Instagram again. But I'm at Matt Binder on there. I'm usually Matt Binder anywhere. Search me anywhere, Matt Binder. I need to take a drink. 1 second. I will open up the phone lines as we get to the second half of the show. I will read super chats as we get into the second half of the show. I ratioed both conceptual James Lindsay and Tim Pool today, so on Twitter. So it's been a good day. We can talk about whatever you'd like. Let's go to the second half of the show. Lots of things to discuss. Give me 1 second to pull up the Skype calls. Search Doomed. Download Skype, by the way, if you don't have it, and search Doomed Live. And you'll be able to call into the show. I take calls as they come in. If you're a right winger, a left winger, somewhere in between. If you want to talk crypto, if you want to talk politics, if you want to talk movies, TV, whatever you want, pro wrestling, punk rock, whatever you want to talk about, I'm here. If you want to talk in good faith, if you want to talk in bad faith, if you want to be a douchebag, if you want to call in like that insane guy from a couple of weeks ago who just called in yelling like he was gonna have a brain aneurysm, you could do whatever you'd like. Call in. All right, folks. I will catch all the patrons and live stream viewers in just a minute on the second half of the show. To the freebie audio listeners, I will see you all next time on Doomed. All right. We're back. Skype is opening right now. I will take the calls as they come in. Oh, hold on. I have to log in. I've been logged out of Skype. Unbelievable. I am now logged into Skype. Once again, Doomed Live. Feel free to call into the show. Oh, here we go. We got a slew of callers coming in right now. Here we go. I will take them as they come in. This is the first one being shown to me. Sorry, the other people. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Matt? Let me pause this. This is Ben Schneider calling from Ohio now. I've moved officially, no longer in Iowa.
Oh, Ben. Oh, can I put you up on the feed?
Yeah, that's no problem.
All right. Ben Schneider is on the phone. For those of you who don't recall Ben, he's called into the show a few times, but he's actually been a guest on this show because Ben is the recent college grad who challenged Ben Shapiro and got would it say that you were dragged out of debate with Ben Shapiro? I mean, you were dragged
Yeah.
off the away from the podium because they just couldn't handle it.
So I wanted to call today because there's this bizarre phenomenon. It seems like Twitter has just exploded with anti-trans bigotry.
Oh,
Um,
it's like the new thing on the right. It's their new that's their thing. That's what they're fully on board going with.
yeah, and I I have like some, I know you like to debate some of these right wingers, so I have some different ideas for arguments I wanted to tell you I've been testing online to see how they work out.
Oh, that's
Um,
interesting.
so I think after trying for a little bit, I think some of the arguments about how much harm it does to kids or, like what's healthy individually doesn't really work. Um, Ideally, you could say something like, these are just people, they're playing dress up, they're just having fun. Maybe you wouldn't do it, but it doesn't affect you. I think they just tend to freak out a little bit. Um, so I think the most effective way I've found to disarm people is to talk about, and I talk to some right-wing family members as well, is to try and talk about just the reality of being like gay or transgender in the United States. I mean, obviously, I don't know if you feel this way, but I just can't represent it perfectly because I'm not gay or transgender. So, on some level, I never really know. But I've been kicking the question back to people and just saying, okay, you have this person, they're very stressed out. They're not psychotic or anything. They just have this overwhelming feeling of not being born into the correct gender. And knowing that that distress may lead to suicide or some other unhealthy outcomes in the end, what is your idea for intervention? And I think that really sort of challenges it puts the burden back on them to explain their idea, and it kind of sidesteps the conversation about like what is gender, or I don't know. I feel like those. I watched your conversation from the other week, and it seems like those conversations kind of go in circles.
Right. Yeah. I mean, I think. Here's my challenge. That I think that's if you were dealing with someone in good faith who actually cares about people, these people, trans individuals. Even I again, it's a hard circle for me to square that you can simultaneously care about trans people and also deny everything about them. Like it
Yeah,
seems very difficult for me to. But let's say you are that person and you exist. Okay, I guess that conversation would work for that I think this is a very small minority to the extent it even exists.
sure, sure.
Um, you say that to the vast majority of virulently anti-trans people, you know what they're gonna say to you? They're gonna say, "I don't care what happens to them," or even worse, "I hope they do off themselves, one less in the world." It's scary stuff, but that's how a lot of them feel.
Yeah, I think for the most bigoted anti-trans people, it's hard. It's I don't know why, but I feel like it's hard for me to convince people that the reason they feel so uncomfortable with trans people or gay people is just because they're bigots. And it seems I've seen so many people just deny the existence of trans people and just say kind of horrible things, and you bounce it back at them and say, you know, you're just a bigot. This is just what hatred and ignorance looks like. And it seems like they can't wear that. They think that they're being reasonable or something. It's very bizarre.
Yeah, I think the best way to handle those people, if they are again coming from good faith, yeah, I guess your route is interesting for sure. Um, but this is a huge I think uh, what's the word I'm looking for? You're being very kindly to them to assume they care enough to actually talk with you about a solution. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. It works better in person. It doesn't work so well over the internet.
Yeah, I guess if you're talking to someone in person, you already have that basic establishment that you know them in real life. And I'm assuming if you, and this is a general you, not you, Ben, but I'm assuming if you interact with someone in real life, there is something redeeming about them and that, you continue those interactions. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, sure, sure.
Uh, like a family member who might like now listen, I do think there are a ton of people out there who are just ignorant to trans issues, but ignorance to trans issues looks a lot different than what we see online, which is many times just pure anti-trans sentiment and hate. Like I
Yeah,
know that there are a lot. I think your scenario works really well for people who just don't understand, who just don't
yeah,
get
yeah.
it. But also, then they wouldn't feel so strongly to talk so much about it. Do you know what I mean? They would just be like, "Oh, that stuff is gross," or "I don't get it," or "They shouldn't do that." Like they wouldn't be like adamant about their stance because there's nothing for them to be adamant about. They don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Well, the right wingers I've talked to in person personally, like I don't know every right winger, but here in the center of the Midwest, they're just incredibly ignorant. They can't separate in their head the idea of gender identity and sexuality. They can't decouple that from the idea of like the most grotesque animalistic version of sex imaginable. So I don't know. Like when talking to family members
Well,
about
that's
it, they're
that's
like,
part of it. They inherently view this as all sexual, which honestly says a lot more about them than I think they realize.
that's what
Um,
I think. It's like, well, no, they just care about each other. They just love each other. And they just like they can't make sense of that idea that two people would just care about each other in that way. It's utterly bizarre behavior.
yeah, I mean, but even beyond that, gender that doesn't necessarily have anything to do with anything, even like relationship wise. It just
Yeah.
doesn't. I mean,
So,
it doesn't at all.
I think something also that sort of doesn't make sense about their perspectives is that it's really difficult to. So my field specifically is applied biology and medicine, or it's like biomedical sciences. And the way that we talk about sex and gender is much more nuanced than I think the general public, because it's a little bit difficult to define. You might have like,
I mean, here's the thing to me. Like, it's I don't. I think that is true when it comes to discussing transgender people, even just adults in general. But no, I disagree with that premise in general because people have a very easy understanding of gender and the very base level when it comes to children. Boys have boy toys, girls have girl toys. You go to McDonald's, they ask you, is this a boy's Happy Meal or a girl's Happy Meal? Why? Because it determines what toy you get. You get the Transformer or the Barbie. You get the Sonic the Hedgehog or you get the Polly Pocket or whatever the fuck the
oh yeah,
toys
yeah,
are. Like that is fathers don't want their little boys playing in the toy kitchen at nursery school, right? Or
yeah.
mothers don't want their little angel girl going over and trying to play baseball with the boys in kindergarten or some shit. We understand non-sexual views of gender and this sort of stuff at a very base level from the very earliest stages. Like this is something that I think everybody should like discusses. Yet when it comes to all of a sudden trans people, it's this is all about sex, all about sex. Like they're fucking NPCs.
Well, I think there are like two different people too. They're the straight up trans bigots, and then there are the people who are like peddling a soft form of bigotry, and they're saying, well, this just like the guys you were talking to last week, they're like, well, this just doesn't make biological sense. And I think what you're talking about makes a ton of sense to me. That's the way I understand it. It's like we have boy and girl sex. It's not a clean dichotomy, but then gender is just how that maps onto us socially, because we're obviously not like looking at people's genitals and stuff. Um,
I mean,
so
listen, if a little boy wants to wear a dress, who the fuck cares? Do you think that 4-year-old is thinking about who they're attracted to? No, they just want to wear a dress. Maybe they have an older sister, or they want to be like mommy, or some shit. Or a boy, or excuse me, a girl wants to wear like I don't know. She wants to fucking dress up as a construction worker and go. This concept of gendered roles in general. This stuff is from the very beginning. Parents have all sorts of conversations about this shit. This has been like an issue on the right for the longest time too. This sort of stuff, whether like God forbid my son is seen playing with dolls or pushing a stroller. Who gives a shit? A, but then B, that's how you know they're fucking lying about this shit. They know exactly what gender is. They know. They know. They just don't want to get into that when it comes to trans issues because they know that there's just one less thing that they have. Because this is something where if they don't have something for the normies to get outraged about, then they're already losing. Just like all the things I mentioned earlier on the first half of the show, they need to bring in lies and fakes to bolster their claims because what they're angry about alone is not enough for most people to care.
you don't think that, and this isn't to challenge you, this is a legitimate question.
Yeah.
Um, I can never figure out if, because I live in a small bubble and a lot of my family's pretty far right wing, um, but they're reasonable with me, at least, I think. And I think for them, they really can't sort out in their head how they can, like, they feel like if they just acknowledge somebody's identity, that it's somehow playing into some, uh, like, some perversion of biology, which is why I always get into these discussions about, like what I do for my work with my family members, because I'm like, no, there's a significant number of men with two X chromosomes, or there are a significant number of women with XY chromosomes. There's a lot of bleed between the two sexes. So it's easy to imagine that there could be bleed psychologically, just like there can be with chromosomes or expression or physiologically or whatever. But I always assume that it's coming from a place of just ignorance, at least on not the big honchos like the Tim Pools. I kind of think are maybe disingenuous, but like on the listener side.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know what your
No.
thoughts
No.
are.
Again, that's why I go on Tim's show and are open to going on other shows like Tim's or even other right wing shows in general. Yes, I think there's a large portion of viewers who don't get it, and
Mm,
they either openly don't get it or they are glad to believe the right wing viewpoint because that's all they know. So yes, I think that's legitimate. The talkers and the pundits, they know. They know. They know.
yeah,
They
or they just
absolutely know.
don't care, I think, on some level, because I think somebody like Tim Pool, and this is just my personal opinion, I think he's really just barely thinking about it. It's just he sees easy money and just kind of thinks, whatever, I don't care. That's my personal take. I'm not gonna put that on you or anything.
Wait, what was that again? Say that one more time.
Oh, I just think for him, he just I think he just sees the money and is a little bit nihilistic about it. And he, it's really easy to get yourself worked up in sort of a
Oh
reactionary
yeah,
mindset.
yes,
Yeah.
yes,
And I think he
obviously.
just sort of talks and doesn't really think about it.
Yeah, no, absolutely, absolutely.
Can I,
Um, Go
well,
ahead.
I had
What
a
were you?
question for you quickly, if you don't mind, just
Yeah,
like
go ahead.
one last thing.
Yeah, sure.
Why, why are you so nice to these? Well, in my view, I think you're very nice to a lot of these right wingers when you talk to them. I'm surprised you're not more aggressive. Is that intentional, or do you think it's just like who you are?
It's intentional. I mean, I'm generally. I mean, if you on Twitter, I'm a little bit more of an asshole.
Sure.
Because that's for that platform. I very intentionally adjust to the platform, and if I'm on their show, you're automatically going to get an audience who will be judging you on multiple different, points. And there are, I'll just give you the example. There are so many people who I heard from who thanked me for going on Tim's show because they heard something that they never heard before that made them think, or they agreed with, and they didn't even know that it existed because they only watched Tim's
Hmm.
show or other similar shows. But then I also heard from a bunch of people who are on Tim's side on the issues, but then they reached out to me and they were like, "I don't understand why Tim got so angry at things, though." Like, it made me actually wonder, like, what's going on there? And they liked that I was able to get my views across in a certain way. And listen, if I had Tim on my show, would I treat him differently? Probably, because it's a different audience. So I am very aware of that. Also, if you're discussing with someone, I think there's no point to. I mean, just watch the Tim thing. Every time he got angry, he clearly just, you don't just, even if you're able to just like remove yourself from the politics of what he's saying, just like look at how I'm saying something, look how he's saying something, and I've heard this from a bunch of people. He's just not coming across as a good, I don't know, standard bearer for what he's trying to say because he's getting so worked up and angry. It's not becoming when you're trying to actually have a discussion.
Hmm. I still feel like I had listened to pieces of that again, just because I'm always really curious. And I think something he just engages in is a lot of deliberate misunderstanding. It's like you're saying something that you need to just take. Like you guys talked about taxes. I think we talked about this a little bit before. And you said, oh, you got to raise taxes, it'll raise government revenue. And then he's like, well, how would that work? And I just feel like he's deliberately misunderstanding. Like it's very easy to understand how that would work. You don't have to interrogate someone over it,
Right.
but it
He
slows
actually he
down, and
he
I
he actually brought up something that I was unaware. I'm just, again, I'm not as that
sure.
unhinged guy who called in a couple of weeks ago. I'm not
Oh
an
yeah,
economist. I'm just not. I know basic stuff. I read my faves, and Stephanie Kelton, and it's basically the best voice for MMT. But you
sure,
know,
sure.
this is not my thing. I'm not a specialist at it. However, knowing some baseline stuff, I'm able to use my talents in other areas to really dig into this. And something that was interesting to me was he brought up the M1 money chart to me.
Yeah,
And this is a chart that basically shows how much money is out there in the economy. And in
sure.
2020, when the government printed up money as part of the whole, like a lot more money than usual in order to, make sure everyone was taken care of, he saw that line skyrocket. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, oh, what am I going to say to him? I'm unfamiliar with it. I see the chart and I said, that does look like a large boost up. Like, you see that line go straight up. You sure? And he said, this is why there's inflation. When you put a lot of money out there, what happens? The cost of goods go up. Now,
Sure.
I looked into that chart afterwards because I was interested in it. Again, this is something I was not really not well versed in, and I'm diving into it. I'm really looking into it. I'm reading stuff from all sorts of experts, even some like libertarians who were talking about it. Really like diving in, and I came across that a the M1 chart in recent years is not a good indicator for this stuff because it doesn't just show it no longer just shows how much money is out there in the economy being used. It actually now also includes in recent years money in savings accounts and other investments. It used to not include that because it actually was supposed to be more representative of how much money is out there being used in the economy. And obviously, if you have a lot of people spending more money, a lot of people have more money than usual. They're spending more, which means they're buying more goods and services, which means the demand for those goods and services will go up. Which means if it's like a good, there's less out there because manufacturing is behind, so they have to pump up the prices for what's out there. And then also, being that more people have more money, they also raise their prices to sort of match how much money people have. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah,
But
yeah.
that is no longer a good indicator of inflation. There is another chart called M1 velocity that shows how much money is actually being used in the economy. It's different than how much money is out there, how much money is actually being spent. And that chart is going down, 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 showing that it's not what we're experiencing right now isn't inflation of people goods and the consumer demand can't be kept up. No, 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 no. What happened here is twofold. Manufacturing is down because of we're still trying to catch up from when there was issues because of COVID and the supply chains were all messed up. We're still trying to catch up from that, and in certain industries, you had that fucking giant boat that was blocking off trade for a while. Remember that
I
shit?
remember that.
And then you had a major formula plant completely shutting down because of contamination. So you have those industry specific things, but then also you have these manufacturing in general still trying to catch up, and because people people did have more money for a little bit during the pandemic, and it shows based on if you look at the M1 chart and the M1 velocity chart, they're not actually spending that money. They actually save that money or put it in investments, and that totally lines up with what we know happened during the pandemic when people were putting their money in the stock market. We saw countless articles and news stories about that, right? That was like a whole thing that people who
Yeah,
never invested before were suddenly downloading Robinhood. And we had all the influx of retail investors. There was the meme stocks with GameStop and everything. You had crypto investments blowing through the roof because people had money, spending money for the first time in their lives, and they were using it to try to better themselves. This money would show up in the M1 charts, would not show up in the M1 velocity charts because this isn't money being used in the economy, which means it's not indicative of the issues that typically influence inflation.
yeah. And I feel like that chart seems so problematic because that in Stephanie Kelton's book about the I can't remember, but her one of her first popular books, she talks about when people take out loans against large investments like these billionaires, and then they spend that loan money, they've sort of like doubled their money because now they still have the investment, and then they took the debt and spent it, so that money gets like double counted, which
All
can,
right.
yeah, yeah, increase the monetary supply indirectly. So I could definitely see that. I think it's so weird. Like people, um, I I think the science of argument is so different than the science of debate, and sometimes people just catch you off guard by just referencing like bizarre, obscure things. And I think that's exactly what that Cullen guy did. That was so bizarre. It was really weird to listen to live.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
But I appreciate all your thoughts. The original reporting is great, and yeah, I'll stop clogging up the line. I hope you have a good evening.
No, thank you for the call. Always a pleasure to talk with you, Ben. Have a great night.
You too. Bye.
All right, phone lines are still open. Oh, I had a bunch of missed calls. Sorry about that. Feel free to call in right now. Um, Again, it's open for anyone to call in. Let's go to. Oh, the Skype thing's still up. Let's see. Let's go to. Oh, here we go. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
This is David from Wisconsin.
Hey, David from Wisconsin. What was it to talk about?
Hey, I just wanted to get your opinion on. I know you're a big wrestling fan.
Yep.
I'm a big wrestling fan.
Hell yeah.
I just want to get your opinion on the Cody Rhodes movement from AEW to WWE.
Sure. I think I will say this. I was it was unexpected how well he'd do in the WWE so quickly. I'm actually a little bit eating crow, I guess you can say. I mean, I didn't broadcast my feelings because I wasn't sure, but inside I doubted that they would treat him well simply because knowing Vince, he usually likes to make a show people what's the term I'm looking for? Basically
make an example.
Thank you. Make an example out of somebody like that. Like, oh, you left the WWE, went to this federation, and then you came back. We're gonna show people that this is not what you should do by jobbing you out for a bit. I mean, look what he did to all the WCW guys he signed in 2000, like DDP and Booker.
Oh yeah.
So
he
I will
humiliated those guys.
Yeah.
Like for a while.
Yeah. So I will say I am pleasantly surprised how well Cody is doing. I also think he's been coming off really good. Honestly, he's definitely upped his game. I will say maybe maybe his style really is meant for the WWE. He did feel lost in AEW. He honestly, and I've seen other people say this, and first time I heard this, I was like, this is exactly what it is. When Cody Rhodes was in AEW, every time he was on the show, it felt like a whole separate universe. It was like the AEW multiverse, where everything else felt like an AEW storyline that integrated with other AEW storylines. But then when Cody and the storylines he was involved in came on the air, it was like, we're going through the multiverse and we're viewing things that have nothing to do with anything else in AEW. He just didn't.
Yeah.
He just didn't fit. His style didn't fit. The storylines that I'm assuming he had influence over, because that's how AEW works, they did not integrate with anything else going on in AEW. It was just like he was not meant for that place, even though he helped build the place. I mean, he was like one of the originators. I think he made the right choice, honestly.
See, I liked watching him on AEW a lot. I thought his style was different, and I just liked any kind of banter he had with like Chris Jericho. They're just hilarious together. I think Vince didn't screw with Cody in WWE because quite frankly, he has way too much heat. Like, he's a bigger name than he was when he was in WWE. Like, it's just not even close. He had a huge fan base that he ported over from AEW. And I think Vince is the type of guy, or maybe his mind has slipped to the point where he's just not in the day-to-day as much, and Triple H doesn't seem like the type of guy that would just torture Cody for no reason,
Right. Yeah, but Triple H doesn't have much say there anymore.
I mean, that's another thing. It's just what in the hell was going on with that? Why get rid of him? It doesn't make any sense. He's controlling the only property that's making you money, and then you fire him? Like, for what? What's going on? Like, it doesn't make any sense. Like,
I mean, a lot of what they've been doing doesn't make any sense, honestly. It's a weird company right now. It's like, it's honestly, it doesn't even feel like Vince is even coming up with this stuff anymore, honestly.
I mean, that's true.
It feels like that guy Nick Khan has really influenced Vince on how to run the business, and it seems like that's what we're seeing, honestly. A lot of guys have been released that that were Vince guys, which was weird. Like the fact that what's his face, Bray Wyatt got released is crazy to me.
Yeah. Like, talk about a company guy, you know?
Yeah. I mean, Vince apparently loved him too. Treated him like a son, according to what I've heard.
Yeah, like, I mean, like, he did everything he did everything Vince wanted. You know, it's one of those things where it's just like, yeah, it's like he was a company guy, and this, I mean, shoot, doesn't make any sense. But like, what's your opinion on New Japan?
I mean, I enjoy the wrestling. I don't really follow it so much, to be honest. It's hard. I mean, I barely even like. I follow AEW and WWE. I don't even watch it all the time. Honestly, it's just too much. I just can't. But I do follow this, like what's going on online. I catch clips when I can, and I read a lot of the backstage stuff. I probably know more about the backstage stuff than current storylines.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you know, if you really like to, I would recommend it as much as possible. Like, I'm a big fan. I like the New Japan stuff. I like the fact that they make the storylines in the ring, you know, plus, you know, they seem to appreciate the wrestlers way more over there. They let them do more stunts that they feel comfortable with. And so, I mean, and it's cheap to buy it on pay-per-view, so I'd recommend it. Anyways, let me jump off of here so I can not tap the phone anymore. Anyways, love the show. Keep doing your thing, man. Appreciate it.
Thanks. Have a great night. And thanks for the wrestling talk. I live for it. It's rare,
anytime,
but I love it.
Man.
Have a great night.
Anytime. I'll call back and do it again next time.
Sounds good. You know, here's a little. Oh wait, I was gonna say I'll save it for next time. Let's go to this call. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Oh, I can't hear you. Your audio might not be connected to the Skype. It's not that you're low. It's that I don't think you have the right. It says you're on mute. You have to unmute your Skype. There you go.
All right. Yes. I'm calling from San Diego, California.
Hey, what's your name?
My name is Hamadi.
Hey, Hamadi. Can I pull you up on Hamadi?
Yes.
Can I pull you up on the feed, like your video?
Yeah, you can put me up on the video feed.
Cool. Hey, what was it to talk about?
On the last debate you had, by the way, I've been listening to your show. I've been listening since you started, and this is my first time calling. And the Majority Report, I've been listening since Occupy.
Oh, wow!
I'm a big fan of the whole thing. And
oh, wow, long timer! Wow, damn.
But something last week during your debate, something when they brought up the whole CRT thing, and they were talking about the evils of whiteness from the book, and the fact that no one brought up that they don't believe that black or white are real, you know, that they're in CRT, that they're both social constructs, the concept of race, period.
Right. Didn't even, that's a great point. Right.
Into whiteness is what they're saying, that no one is really white, you know, no one is really black.
Right.
They're all humans. But this is a social.
And the funny thing is that you know, that's a great point to bring up next, because this is not going to be. I'm sure it's not going to be the first and last time I hear that from a conservative. But the great point about that is it totally ties into their usual way of trying to claim this is like, oh, you know, I don't see color.
Mm-hmm.
Like we're in some sort of post-racial America or something. And, you know, that actually ties into that and would sort of give them a good challenge, I think, on how to, you know, do they really not believe something of that nature if it's coming from CRT? Does that go out the window? You know what I mean?
And they take it as an attack on them personally when they say white, but they're using whiteness as in you buying into it and believing this whole charade of race that they use to divide us.
Right.
basically. Because before the Bacon Rebellion, they didn't really separate the races like that. If you were poor and black, poor and white, you were allowed to marry, whatever. But after the Bacon Rebellion, that caused them to like, wait a minute, what's going on here? They're rebelling together. We got to do something, to keep them apart.
Right.
Are passing, giving, even if you're poor and white, giving you special privileges to make you better than black. And if you buy into this whiteness, and whiteness grows, and it's not what it had always been. At one time, Italians weren't white, Irish weren't white, poor people weren't white. Like so.
Oh, I had that experience when I was on Tim Pool's show. Tim asked me what my background is, and I said I'm white. And a bunch of his viewers looked into it, found out I was Jewish, and started going crazy because they were saying I'm not actually white because I'm ethnically a Jew. And that made them very angry that I would dare to say I was white because, I guess they don't want my my unpure Jew blood mingling with their kind.
Yeah. But I don't want to. That was really all I called in to say, because I thought, that's something that you should keep in mind, the fact that whiteness is a social construct.
Right.
It's not.
Right. Also, when people are talking about whiteness, they're not actually talking about people with white skin. They're talking about the whiteness that is white supremacy. And that doesn't mean white supremacists. We're talking about the perpetuation of white supremacy, a system of white supremacy. They can't disconnect the two because, frankly, and I'm talking generally here, I don't want any specific people coming at me saying that's not my specific belief, but generally, they can't disconnect the two because for them, there is no disconnect. They like the fact that there's white supremacy because they benefit from it.
True. And I love the scam economy too. I'm an artist. I'm a rapper, and one of my partners was like thinking about doing the NFT thing, and I never really was into it. But then when you did your first episode on it, I had him listen to it, and it totally changed his mind about it to where he don't want to do it either.
Oh, wow. That's awesome. Yeah. Wow. Okay. Awesome. Thanks for sharing that. I'm glad that I saved you guys from the attacks and it's a big blowback for people who are getting into it. I guess unless you're like Snoop Dogg, who apparently is selling exclusive music on as NFTs and is making a lot of money from it because he's Snoop Dogg. But also that music is not, you're not able to listen to it unless you are spending like thousands of dollars for his NFTs, which frankly isn't why when I made music, I didn't get into making music to make it exclusively for wealthy people who could afford it. I made music. Yeah, I made music for the masses to hear it.
I make music because I love to, and I share what I love. But
yeah,
it's not for the money at all. It's for the love of the art.
I'd love to hear your stuff, man. Definitely send it over to me. Message me on Twitter or something.
I will. I'll send a message you on Twitter. And I'm Rittler on Twitter. So, I did send you a message on Twitter about saying the same question, but you didn't reply, but it's fine. I know you're a busy guy.
It might have got what happens on Twitter. Now that I know, I'll be on the lookout and I'll check. What happens is Twitter puts a lot of these messages in a second folder, like a spam folder, and I miss those sometimes, but I'll check it out. I'll definitely look for your tweet.
All right. And I'll send you some music. All right.
Thanks. Awesome.
Thanks for taking it. All right.
Take care. Call in again. Love to hear from you. Take care. Have a great night.
I'll call again. Thank you. Bye.
Love to hear from the long time Majority Report listeners. That's like, geez. If accurate, if he's actually been listening since Occupy, then he has been listening to me for over a decade. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from? Hello.
Hello?
Hello. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey, what's up, Matt? This is also Matt. I'm calling from Long Island. Can you hear me?
Hey, Matt from Long Island. All right, not far. How you doing, Matt from Long Island? What's up? What was they talk about?
Cool. So hold on. For some reason, let me just try to fix up on my phone. Cool. So I'm not gonna lie, a little bit nervous because wasn't sure that I was gonna get connected through here, but I'll do my best. So yeah, I'm a big fan. Just wanted to say, um, and I just wanted to quickly chime in regarding the whole. Actually, it's not as important about compared to some other topics that you've been discussing, but basically the Depp Heard trial.
Oh boy! All right, let's do this. What would you, what would you talk about about the Johnny Depp Amber Heard trial? I'm glad you called in. Are you the person who's been? I think I've seen a tweet or two of yours. Are you that guy?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. I've been trying to blow you up a little bit just because I was curious to see if. Well, my main question was that would you be willing to maybe have like a guest on your show, or maybe just do another interview with a legal expert that knew a little bit more about the trial to have like a more in-depth discussion. Just because I know you guys got into it a little bit on the Majority Report.
Yeah.
But but basically, here, where do I begin? Let me just say up front, I really do understand the kind of temptation for a lot of left-wing media figures to kind of have or just people on the left in general, honestly, the temptation to have kind of like a knee-jerk reaction to a trial like this, because obviously you're dealing with someone that's like a really powerful figure. He's obviously a white guy. And whenever there's accusations like that of a woman in general, you gotta be really sensitive about that and take those things seriously. And sure. I totally get that.
Sure.
But of course, even though, that being said, a case like this obviously deserves to be evaluated by its merits. And, I think it's really important to obviously take a look at the case itself and obviously all the evidence that's been presented, just because, it is like a kind of like a serious trial, because there was like a lot of like pretty hefty allegations thrown at Depp. And obviously there's kind of, things that happened on both sides that were like indicated it was like, not a great relationship over like a few years. But I'll just put it like this. So, just like how there's a online like left media community, there's also a online YouTube community of like law tubers, I think they call themselves.
Right.
And basically and sorry, I should have said I'm someone who did follow most of the trial pretty in depth.
Did you follow it through those law tubers?
Yeah, partially I did, and partially just with people who are just partially through them, and then also partially through like streams that didn't have any like commentary on it.
Okay.
Do you
think that your views on the case could possibly have been influenced by the opinions of those law tubers?
Oh yeah, definitely. But let me just state up front that those law tubers are all like licensed and practicing lawyers or attorneys.
Lawyers are well known to be very good liars. I mean, I'm not saying I'm not gonna. To be fair to whoever we're talking about, I'm not going to name any specific one individual because I'm not familiar with all of them. I do know that you did send me a few, one of whom immediately stuck out to me because they're a law tuber. She is a law tuber who did a live stream on the Amber Heard Johnny Depp trial with the quartering. Were you aware of that law tuber who you apparently were you liked enough to suggest to me? Did you know that they did a stream on the trial with a far right-wing commentator?
I wasn't aware of his channel because they're like those different law tubers, they sometimes would do their own streams. Sometimes they would do it on a channel called Legal Bites, where I'm forgetting the girl's name, but basically it's like a collaboration of a bunch of law tubers that stream together and provide their commentary and feedback. And let me just say before
I think
the
Legal
main point
I think Legal Bites is the one who did the thing with the quartering, if I recall correctly.
Oh, well, I'm not sure which right winger you're referring to.
They're
I'm
called
not sure if
they're called the quartering. The guy is a far right winger. He has a YouTube channel. He has said plenty of racist, sexist, horrible things, constantly shitting on. He's an anti-feminist, open anti-feminist. He's a bad dude. He's not like
Right.
just you're like conservative lawyer or something like that. He has more. No, he's like throw him in the mix with the I don't know, the Milo Yiannopoulos and Mike Cernoviches of the world. I mean, that's my thing though. I'm not gonna I'm not like needling at you. I'm just saying like I think a lot of these law tubers. I mean, first of all, to be a law tuber, I do think you are. Let's put it this way. Some of the, think of the most well-respected, serious lawyers and law firms out there. They're not doing law tubing. I mean, it's just not a thing they do. So in my opinion, when you're a law tuber, you're automatically, it's not like political commentary. I mean, everyone knows I don't have a license to talk politics. This is just my opinion based on my own knowledge. Law tubers try to, in my estimate, and in my personal opinion, I should say, use their license and their education to sort of try to give some sort of expert background to whatever their opinion is. I mean, that's what lawyers do anyway. That's what lawyering is, right? They basically just try to make the best case for their client. And I think, and I'll let you talk after, but this is my... from what I've seen from LawTube, they generally don't go against the grain. It is very much they feel the way the wind is blowing, and then their law tubing, or whatever you want to call it, their opinions basically flow that way. I mean, it is amazing to me that not a single law tuber, again, we're talking lawyers here, people who are fine to represent the worst of the worst and find a way to make the case for their client. Yet, interestingly, not a single law tuber made the case for Amber Heard. My guess is they didn't do that because it would be bad for business. There wasn't any high-paying client. Amber Heard wasn't paying them to defend them. The easiest thing for them to do is, I want views. I want subscribers. There's a lot of Johnny Depp fans out there. Ravenous, hardcore Johnny Depp hordes. Not the same for Amber Heard. Hell, this is an easy decision to make.
Yeah, no, I mean, I totally feel you on that. But listen, one thing I'll just say, I think you'll genuinely change your mind about some of what you just said if you take, a closer look at some of those commentators. One reason being is that pretty much all of them unanimously agreed in the beginning that this was like going to be a long shot for Johnny, and that there's obviously a super high bar set for defamation in this country, and they pretty much all didn't think he was going to win. Obviously that doesn't speak to anything about their personal opinion on who was right or who was wrong, but just legally they just didn't think that Johnny would win.
What do you think?
And then
what is your view of what happened in the UK?
So that's another interesting point I wanted to bring up, is because the UK was, from what I've gathered, a totally kind of relatable case to the US one, because that was against the Sun, a media organization, and this one was against actual Amber Heard.
Yes, but you realize that in order for the Sun to win their case, the judge ruled that Amber Heard was telling the truth. The judge literally ruled that Amber Heard was an abuse victim. The idea that they're not, just because the case was against the Sun and not Amber Heard. The case was against the Sun because the claims that were made in there about what Amber Heard's experience was.
Let me give you a quick response.
Sure, go ahead.
Let me just say a super quick thing on that. so I haven't yet verified this myself, but I've seen it referenced at least twice, like on Twitter, and then also once by one of the lawsuiters, I think, or yeah, something like that. But apparently, the judge in that case actually used the fact that Amber Heard, quote unquote, donated $7 million to those two different charity organizations for what was it, a total of $7 million. And apparently used that as a testament to her credibility. Whereas he just completely, from what I understand, dismissed Johnny Depp's credibility just simply due to the fact that he was an abuser of illegal substances, basically a drug user. And I don't know if he was an alcoholic or not, but whatever. Yeah, so that would definitely be a big red flag if you were to just make like a blanket judgment call like that and just take the side of all of her claims versus Depp's. But listen, so and then also supposedly the specific judge, I don't know how he didn't get recused from that case. Apparently he had some actual personal ties somehow. I don't know if it personal or whatever it was, but he had some ties to the actual Sun media organization or whoever they are. Lawyer, he was breaking down, that's one of the LawTube channels, and he was breaking that down, or he mentioned that in one of his streams or videos that I think came out last night or the past couple of days, where he was discussing the UK case. So obviously that's going to be something that's a red flag right there. But aside from that, since Amber Heard wasn't a party to that case, there was obviously a significant amount of evidence, from what I understand, that was withheld from that trial. And then just generally speaking, back to the U.S. trial, it wasn't that. What's the best way to put this? Yeah, I understand that, law tubers are humans and are susceptible to having bias based on, what they think, might appeal to their audience the best, because that's the whole incentive structure of YouTube in general. But at the same time, they still should hold some credence in terms of how to evaluate evidence and testimonies. And
you do know that a lot of the evidence that was allowed in the UK case that led to the judge's ruling that confirmed that Amber Heard, what was it? How many? It was, I think it was like 12 out of the 14 or something like that of what the judge ruled on. Were accurate.
I think it was at least 12 instances supposedly of domestic violence. But,
yeah. I mean, a lot of that information wasn't allowed a lot of the information wasn't allowed in the U.S. case because of, various different arguments from lawyers. I mean, I personally would like to. There was, I could pull up right now. One second. Give me a second. I don't have this in front of me because I wasn't expecting to have this conversation.
Yeah. And I appreciate you having it, by the way. I do acknowledge and understand up front that obviously it's not the most important thing out there, but I think it's something that's just worth addressing, just for the sheer fact of people
the UK trial includes a text from Depp's assistant after a blow up on a private jet, saying, "When I told him he hit you, he cried." I mean, that's one of the texts that weren't allowed in the U.S. trial. Apparently, that was seen in the UK trial.
But you also understand that there's a reason why certain pieces of evidence are admitted into a case and why certain things aren't. And I'm not a lawyer myself, and so I don't hold any type of expertise when it comes to evaluating this stuff. But I thought what I would do is just kind of derive my opinions and whatnot from
here's what I look at it. Here's what I look at it. Do you think, what do you think? Do you think she's been on a 12-year, however long was she orchestrated this for 12 years? I'm trying to understand how she has more evidence than, and I don't really care about her as I don't know who she is. I'm not a fan of hers. I honestly like more Johnny Depp. I can't even name you an Amber Heard movie. I love Edward Scissorhands, and Ed Wood is one of my favorite movies of all time. So the fact that Johnny Depp, who I don't really care what the jury here in the U.S. ruled, I've seen the evidence, and the evidence tells me what I believe based on what I've seen. And do you think like for 12 years, however long it was, she's been collecting these photographs of her injuries and getting Johnny Depp's assistants to send her text messages and for people to confirm that Johnny Depp staffers again to testify in I don't know if this was the U.S. or the U.K. that it
wasn't all his staffers. It wasn't. That's, I think, one of the misconceptions is that all of his witnesses were under his payroll, but that's not the case. One of them, I think one of the most important ones was Amber Heard's actual former assistant. I think it was Kate James. Her personal assistant for like multiple years, who just like vehemently testified that she just never saw any evidence in any situation at all whatsoever about like for any of these things. But listen, one of the main things I just want to drive home is that like if you actually sit down and listen to her testimony, which I'm pretty sure I listened to if most of it, if not all of it, there are just so many holes and inconsistencies within her story itself that you just know that like this cannot be a credible person.
Like what?
And
like
I
what?
don't
give me an example, because
she testified incorrectly to the date. I don't know if it was in the UK trial or this trial not the date, but the year that the abuse supposedly started happening.
I mean, I couldn't tell you off the top of my head. I couldn't tell you years of things happening either. This is not something.
But let me get more specific.
Go ahead.
She had previously testified that supposedly the first year of their marriage was like bliss and just like perfect, and then I think it was in this trial she recanted that testimony and said something else because of, I don't know, some dates lining up. But there were like, and it's not just like little details, they're like serious actual inconsistencies that, from what I've heard, are like those types of inconsistencies and like in testimonies don't happen in domestic abuse people's testimonies, but from actual domestic abuse victims. So again, I'm not the legal expert here, but so that's why the main thing that I was hoping for you to do is to actually speak with one of those people, hopefully, that I mentioned.
I mean, I don't. We'll see. Maybe I'm probably not the people you mentioned. I mean, another one of them. I'm just looking at them now. Another one brought on a body. What's it called when they
body language expert?
Body language expert. I mean, come on, man. This is who you listen to, like. Someone who brings on a body language expert, like this stuff is suspect as hell.
Can you name that?
Yeah, give me a second. I'll pull it up. This was someone I saw. What's your Twitter account again?
By the way, if my Twitter is Matt.
Oh wait, I don't know if you want to tell me because you're on air. It's up to you.
No, it's all good. At Matt MATT_Raza, RAZZA, and then shoot, what was I gonna say? So I don't think it's just like having a body language expert. Supposedly, it seems like not as uncommon as people may be aware.
No, I mean, if he brought the guy up on in a trial or stand, I'd be like, okay, he's just trying to win over the jury. He brought this guy on his YouTube channel, meaning there's no he's trying to fake, make a jury believe this shit is real. He's trying to convince you, his audience, that you're telling me he's he's telling me on the up and up what's going on here. This is the real deal. He's trying to fool you guys into believing this shit is an actual thing too. Like, there's nothing more bullshit than a body language expert. It's a bullshit thing. It doesn't exist.
I learned that lesson back during the Bernie campaign when they brought someone on when that whole thing happened with Bernie and Warren in that one debate. So yeah, I was aware of that, but apparently body language experts, they don't just, and I'm not testifying to them, I don't really care about them, but they don't just simply do things like, oh, he's acting like this and putting his shoulders like this, and so that definitely means this. It's kind of more abstract than that. That's all I have to say about that.
People do all sorts of different people.
Yeah.
I have a tick where when I'm tired or I'm thinking, I tend to blink faster. And because body language experts have decided that blinking a lot means that you're lying, I've had people accuse me of lying when my eyes are actually blinking because I'm actually deep in thought trying to give someone a legit, honest answer. So, I mean, I think body language as someone who doesn't have the usual body language, whatever, I think it's the most suspect thing ever. Where's this person I saw? There was a few that I can't remember which one I checked out of yours. Let's see.
Listen, one of them that I'm pretty confident you won't find too many hesitations about is Emily D. Baker. I mean, I don't know. I think was probably the most the largest law tuber that I've come across. Her reputation seems pretty solid. She is definitely not someone that has any, or that looks like she has any type of shady past with associating with any right ringers or anything like that. But one of the things I just wanted to say before we end this talk is that there's pretty much, from the law tubers that I've come across that streamed and actually watched the full trial, there's pretty much unanimous consent among them that Heard is just totally incredible. I'm not saying that it's impossible for there to have been these instances of domestic violence, but that they are pretty much, as far as I know, in unanimous agreement that Heard is not credible, and that the only abuse that can be proven is the abuse that was committed against Johnny Depp. So that's just one of the main things I wanted to drive out there. And yeah, honestly, I don't want to take up too much more of your time, but I just want to let you know from a good faith perspective that I'm just someone who watched a vast majority of the trial, I think, and had an open mind, and likes to take these kinds of things seriously in general, and not just randomly dismiss people's claims on a silly whim or whatever. And would just implore you that her testimony just had so many inconsistencies that she was just so not credible. But
here's my thing, and we could end it here sort of. I don't want to take the last word, but here I just got to respond to that. You're going by her not being seen as credible to you or other people on the witness stand. Yet there is photographs and text messages and witnesses along with her own, even people who were on Depp's staff, who attest to the various things. I don't understand. We also know Johnny Depp's history, too, of having blown up on sets, of actually having assaulted people on sets as well, of having drug abuse problems. The idea that a rich, white, Hollywood male with substance abuse and previous violence problems would have done something to his wife is not that far-fetched, along with the fact that there are texts and pictures and all these other things that it really doesn't matter if she goes up on stand and starts laughing her ass off. That stuff is
trial, though.
That stuff is the most solid of evidence, honestly. I don't care who Amber Heard the person. She could be the worst piece of shit on the planet. But in terms of the evidence that shows what he did to her and what the trial was about and how the jury ruled, there's no case that I can think of that could be made, that unless it comes out that solid evidence that she fabricated years of photos and text messages and convinced people to lie for her.
Matt, I just remembered this, so I want to also add this before we end off. And I think you would be interested to know that they literally, from what I understand, submitted fake evidence on her legal team.
They
literally submitted fake. No, there was one photo. Well, actually, two instances of one photo. One of them, which was basically shown to have been there was one instance of two photos that looked identical to each other. One just looked like they messed around with the saturation or whatever to make her face look more red, kind of like what CNN did to that other clip of Bernie. I keep on referencing the Bernie campaign back during his campaign a couple years ago. But and then another instance where the image was not visibly altered, but some of it was just like a rectangle of it on the bottom left corner was kind of just like redacted, apparently because of metadata or whatever. But it was literally, you can pretty much tell that it was the same photo. And again, like I didn't want to call into your show just to go through and like litigate all the different things that I've personally come across. That's what I was hoping you would. I think it would be more appropriate for you to do that with like an actual legal expert who that would, take the time to go through all that. But those are just two examples of like serious problems that they have on their side. I'm
looking this up, and what I see connected to any claim of her presenting or her lawyers presenting fake evidence is a claim from Johnny Depp's lawyer, and then a claim from LAPD officers who testified they did not see injuries on Amber Heard after a 2016 fight.
Listen, there's two different pieces of evidence where there's a photo that they look identical to each other, and you can overlay them and see for yourself. I mean, I'm not saying I don't want you to take my word for it. Like, I would encourage you to actually look into it.
All right, I will. Again, I just don't. I don't see what the.
I know it's not the most important thing. I know you don't care.
I just don't see why do you having watched the trial, why do you think Amber Heard did this?
Dude, it's not really so important for me why she did it. It's just important that we have fair trials. We go.
It sort of is though, because what's her motivation here? That's a huge part of. It should be a huge part of why someone would determine for her to be a liar. What's her motivation here? What does she get out of it?
I disagree that it's not the most relevant. I just don't think it's the most relevant for me to evaluate the case. I think it's important to just evaluate the case on its merits and just go through all the evidence. And
I think motivation is
what
everything.
I understand. I think that they had a pretty fair, thorough 6-week trial, and that a jury was, dedicated 6-7 weeks of their life to go through all this stuff. And she had a fair shake.
A jury that wasn't sequestered, a jury that watched the same media you did, a jury that could have watched that quartering live stream, a jury that could have watched that body language expert, a jury that saw the vast media bias against Heard for Johnny Depp.
Yeah, but are you just going to resort to attacking juries now? Because there was a lot of juries that haven't been sequestered in a lot of important cases, and if people want to start attacking juries, I'm not saying the legal system's perfect, but that's juries pretty much trying to undermine undermine the entire.
Juries often fail when it comes to civil cases. It seems.
And judges don't.
I think they're for a judge, someone who is better versed in the law and should be able to put aside any sort of personal opinions on it, obviously. But I do think that the jury was obviously swayed. I don't know if you could get a jury that could rule against Johnny Depp in a case like this. Honestly, he's too big of a movie star. Maybe that's a problem altogether. Honestly,
yeah, maybe. And then lastly, just real quick, and the main reason why I just felt so compelled to reach out to you about this was because not that necessarily that you disagreed, but that you were so strong in your personal take on this that it seemed that you were pretty convinced 100% that there's no way that Depp could have been the innocent one in this case. And
I had to say it. I appreciate this conversation. I don't hate to say it, but I appreciate the conversation. I really, listened to you, and I was, trying to consider what you said, and my opinion is just not swayed. I'm sorry. It's it doesn't seem like.
No, I wouldn't expect it to be from me. I would hope that it could be if you were to actually talk to a legal expert that evaluated thoroughly like all the pieces of evidence that were submitted. And So yeah, I just wanted to say what was on my mind. But
I'll see if it's worth still talking about. To me, the interesting thing is the fallout from it and what that means for domestic abuse victims and how the right wing media used it. I'm not so concerned about the trial itself anymore. Especially, it's been it was what, last week or the week before, I can't remember. But I'll look into it and see. I don't think it's going to come up too much, other than the implications of what happens after in other cases. But maybe when the Shia LaBeouf case comes up, it'll be worth looking back into this.
All right, sounds good. I have no idea what that case is, but sounds good.
He also is being sued by his former partner for abusing her. So we'll see if this basically gives sway on that case as well.
Okay, cool. Well, listen,
I
thanks so
appreciate the
much
call,
again.
though. I do appreciate the call. It was interesting to discuss this, something different from what we usually talk about on the show.
Yeah, definitely.
And I do know you were trying to get my attention on Twitter, so I'm glad you were able to finally get my attention.
Definitely. All right, thanks so much, man.
Take care.
Bye.
Bye. Let's go to the next call. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello.
Oh, it's Cameron. I haven't heard from you in a while, Cameron. How you doing? Everything okay?
Well, I'm right now. Am I talking to the real Matt Binder?
You are. You're
Because
talking
I've been
to the
fooled
real.
before.
You're talking to the real Matt Binder.
Because what you just put me through sounds like another one of these crazy mind games. That they've been playing on me
I
on the
know. I
island.
saw it in the chat. People were not feeling it, but I wanted to give. I saw a few tweets from him. He's been trying to get my attention on Twitter, so I gave him the opportunity, and it was something different. I thought it was. I enjoy something different than the usual stuff, but I could see how people were not into it. But what would you like to talk about, Cameron? How's the mind going?
All right. Well, I'll believe that you're Matt Binder for now. As you recall, sorry, I've been speaking like that for a while since I got here. As you recall, I had to go to rehab because of the business powder and the
powder,
Budweisers that I was drinking.
Right.
And so I went to what I was told was the same detox facility that the good Dr. Jordan, the Reverend Dr. Jordan Peterson went to get rid of his raw meat and pills addiction or whatever. And that was the last time we spoke, when I was in Moscow. Right?
And so that's where you've been this whole time?
No, because as soon as I got off the phone with you, the vent in the top of the wall, green gas started to pour in, and it knocked me out. And I woke up on this crazy island, where I believe that they're trying to extract because this happened right at the time that there was the problem with all the pegging, and that there was a plummet in pegging. Do you remember this? The pegging?
Yeah, I remember the pegging because we were talking about stable coins.
Yeah, we were talking about sample coin, and right when that happened, I think that it was all a setup, that they brought me there and then they gassed me and brought me out to this island, which I believe is somewhere in the Mediterranean or possibly West Africa or close to the Channel. There's like these two guys on like this seesaw thing, and it keeps going up and down. I don't know what that was about. They assign me a name. They keep calling me like number 2 or whatever. And then like the next day it's number 6. Like they're trying to fuck with my head.
Uh-oh.
All...
Oh, boy.
It's like a side. They're trying to... It's a torch. I should contact Niels Meltzer or whatever, the UN Special Rapporteur on Torture, because I think that's what's going on with me right now. And every time I've tried to escape a few times, and then I escape, and I think I'm finally back home at my mine. But then it turns out that it was all a set, and I was actually still there, and they all set me up to fuck the. I guess gaslit. Like, this is like the real deal gaslighting, man. And I'm sorry, I gotta calm down.
Oh boy. So what are you gonna do now? Wait, they allow you to have beer and cigarettes on the island? where are you getting them from?
Oh, the island it's actually pretty great. You have beer, cigarettes. Everyone rides around on bicycles. We all have like stripes, and it's like modish. And there's like fucking I can't remember right now because of some of the pills that they also made me take, but. Yeah, my main goal right now is to get off of the crypto island, is what I've taken to calling it, and to figure out how I can stop where I have to. They're making me press a button that's in this bunker like once every few hours, and I have to figure out to get someone else to just keep pushing the button so that I can get outside. And then there's a second problem when I get outside where there's this smoke monster and a polar bear and a guy in a wheelchair, and there's all these other obstacles. So I just wanted to call about any advice that you could give me on like specifically the specific issues that I mentioned.
Geez, you're bringing me a real interesting case here. I'm gonna say, geez, you need to get back home first of all. That's the first thing I think.
Yeah, I already established that.
Yeah.
That's not okay. Okay, Sherlock. Okay, Matlock. What's the next thing that we need to do? What do we do?
You need to watch a show called Lost. I think you'll get some tips from that. Do they have a VCR or DVD player there?
They have a VCR, but it just has like a spiral, and if I watch it too long, then my ears start ringing, and a voice starts just repeating some phrase that sounds familiar, but I can never make it out. But it reminds me of my childhood.
Oh boy, Cameron, I don't know what to tell you for this one, buddy. I think you might be fucked.
Okay, well, I might have something else. Wait 1 second. Oh, I had some just funny ideas. What do you think about this? Like, a boy falling out of a well.
Wait, this is what you're doing over there on the island as your life is apparently in peril?
Like Lassie episodes. Like, what if a boy fell out of a well?
What would Lassie need? What would be the storyline there? Well, it seems like a pretty short episode, no?
Well, it would be a science fiction episode, because how does he fall out of the well?
Why would they even care to look into it? Honestly, the boy is saved. End of episode.
Well, I probably got a lot of time to come up with any more. Anyway, what do you have to talk about? No one ever asked you any questions. What's going on with you?
People ask me a lot of questions. We just went off of a pretty long discussion about.
What do you think about Amber Heard?
What's that?
What do you think about the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard trial?
Oh, right. Let's talk about it. What do you think about it, actually, Cameron? I'm wondering where you stand.
I think that Johnny Depp should keep wearing suits. Normally he dresses like fucking ridiculous. Like he fell into a pile of scarves and like big fedoras, and sunglasses. In the suit, he at least looked like still scuzzy, but like, he bothers to put a suit on.
Yeah. Yeah, it's I guess that's a good. I mean, I think his best look was actually in Ed Wood. He should continue to dress like a 19. What was Ed Wood? 1950s, 1960s. He should dress
30,
like
40s, I think.
40s. No,
Maybe
you're right.
50s.
Yeah, earlier than that. Right. I'm wrong. Yeah, I'm actually gonna. When did Plan 9 from Outer
I'm
Space
talking
come
about
out?
my grandpa Ed Wood. I don't know who you're talking about. But
Oh,
around
59.
40.
So I wasn't so off when I said
He dressed
50s,
it.
60s.
My grandpa Ed Wood dressed in a zoot suit.
He dressed it. All right, yeah.
So that would be a good look for Johnny.
Yeah, the zoot suit would fit Johnny well. Cameron, always a pleasure when you call in, my friend. You stumped me
Thank
on this
you.
one. You stumped me on this one. We need to get you back at the mine because I don't know what to tell you for this this situation.
I might just have to try and start digging my way down, and then see if I can work my way.
What if
like
the miners?
Shawshank.
What if
What?
the miners on the other side of the world start digging, and they dig you out, and you just go back under with them?
I think you need to read up on your 5th grade geology.
Okay.
Because
Right.
that's not how that's going to work, brother. That's probably why you don't think that crypto's a good idea, because you never even went to the 5th grade.
Well, that's
Okay,
where
bye.
that's where
I'm
that's where all the
about to be
coins
attacked
are.
by
They're
a
stored in the
ball.
center. That's where all the coins are. They're stored in the center of the earth. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello, Matt.
Hey, what's your name?
My
Where you calling
name is
from?
Justin. I'm from Michigan.
Hey, Justin from Michigan. What would you like to talk about?
I remember you from Matt and Michael Mondays.
Oh wow,
I
yes.
used to call in Majority Report then.
Wow.
I remember Do you remember the drunk guy, Paul or Pat? What is his name is?
If I heard, is that you? No, right?
No, it's not me.
I was
No,
say. I thought you were about to tell me.
Justin.
I know, but I thought you were gonna say
No.
like you played a character where you were like drunk guy Paul and pretended to be.
No.
No.
I'm not gonna try to do that. I can't repeat
I
his
don't
style.
I don't recall him, but if I heard him, maybe
Bro,
I
he used to
would.
call it all the time. He used to bother you guys all the time.
Was it
I
Paul?
remember,
Was it?
this is like a decade ago.
I
Yeah.
remember Jim from PA. I remember.
No.
I remember a guy
There's
named
another
like
guy.
I remember like a guy named like John something who was also a real contrarian. Or
Yeah. But I remember you guys just have a ball with that guy because he would slur his words, and it was just really fun.
I would have to listen to it. I bet I remember it with if it crossed my memory.
Yeah, I've been a long time follower of you and Sam Cedar and the other crew, and yeah, whatever. But
I appreciate it.
my main issue is like I know you brought up Buffalo, but like I actually tuned in to watch that Matthew McConaughey thing on I can't even pronounce the name right. Is it Uvalde?
Uvalde, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, they have different pronunciations for it, but I got really upset. You know, he told some stories about like I guess he met with some of the parents of the kids, and like there was this one section where he met with one of the parents and like a girl that wore like green Converse because she was like an environmentalist and she had like a red heart on her shoe, and it kind of like sort of broke down and they like, slapped the damn podium. He's like, that's the only way that they knew how to identify her. You know, like I'm not a big fan of Matthew McConaughey. Good actor and True Detectives.
Right.
Really good show.
Yeah.
On the first season, yeah. But you're like, but when he was walking out, I'm not sure. They couldn't identify who said it, but like, you just grandstanding?
Right, I heard that. Someone yelled out. Yes, someone yelled out.
Yeah.
Yes.
But like I said, I know you're doing, your episodes about Buffalo, but I'm like, this is not just about Buffalo. I live in Michigan, so like, there was a shooting in Saginaw this weekend.
Yeah.
They killed 3 people. Yeah. I'm like,
yeah,
and I made a comment in your chat about like it was a joke on Ted Cruz, like there's too many doors.
Right. Yeah. I mean, this is we're seeing these sort of mass shootings on a regular basis now. The idea that someone who was from one of these cities, especially the one where it was a school shooting, wouldn't feel drawn to speak out because there's a connection to him. I mean, I don't see why that would be so insane to believe. I mean, again, I'm no Matthew McConaughey fan, like you said.
Like I said,
Thought he was good in True Detectives, but I mean, that aside, I have no reason to like defend him or anything. And I think if he spoke out, then good for him.
No, like I don't hold any value in what I don't care what actors say, but like
but there's a lot of people
who grew up in that town.
There are people.
Yeah, he grew up in that town, so he's like he has.
Yeah, he's
not just grains. Yeah,
right. There are people who do care. I think that's an important thing to think about too. Like, who are they possibly convincing in terms of like people who may not be, too political, who are fans of that actor. They could sway those people. Yeah. But in this specific case where like you have a famous person who actually is connected to that town.
I saw those same first of all, I can say this right now. I hate Bill Maher, but yeah, Bill Maher is also Matthew McConaughey is a gun owner, and so is Bill Maher. But like, fuck Bill Maher.
Right.
I don't like that motherfucker. I don't understand why any person on the left would appreciate him, because he doesn't make any sense. Maybe he has a good point once in a while, but everything else he says is garbage, and his humor is very lacking.
He's not funny. Yeah,
he's not funny.
At the very least, no matter what you think of him, I mean, I think not much of him as well. I think very lowly of him.
The one good joke he had was,
but he's also not. But the most important thing, as someone who's being funny is supposed to be part of his thing, he's not funny.
He had one good point in 2001, about they're not cowards, and he was true on that. That's the only point he had, and ever since then he's just been downhill. Because you got to be scared to like kill yourself. I guess, whatever.
Yeah. Thanks for the. Was there something else you wanted to say?
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, it just. They put what's his name? The other senator from not Corbin from Texas, onto the gun rights settlement, like the committee to like make the New Deal, right? John Corbin,
right?
He's already said like no ban on AR-15s, right?
Oh, right.
Yeah, he already that's his already statement before he walked into the committee to say anything. So like whatever bill they're gonna introduce is gonna be a watered down piece of shit.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
All right. Yeah, it's we're in pretty shitty times, honestly. So I get, but we gotta keep at it. We gotta keep at it. We can't just let. Go ahead.
The thing is, I can understand why like Democrats are just gonna give up, because like, hey, we own all three parties right now, and nothing's happening, and nothing's getting done. Why do I have to vote for you anymore?
All right.
I don't know. That's just like a spatial thing I've been thinking about, because, I'm never gonna vote GOP. I mean, I'm a nice person. I'm not evil, but why do I have to vote GOP? I mean, why do I have to vote Democrats? They haven't done anything. They don't do anything.
Yeah.
I wish they would just try. They had a piece on Dianne Feinstein the other day. I'm like, I read that whole thing. I'm like, she's almost 89 years old. She's half senile. I'm like, why is she still in Congress? I don't get it.
Yeah.
She can't even remember where her office is half the time. And this is who we are electing.
Yeah, I know you're talking. Yeah. Fine.
Anyways, thank you, Matt. Yeah, thank you, Matt. But it's just, You have a good night.
Yeah,
Hope
I
you have
hear
a
you.
good-
Yeah, I mean, there's what you're saying is all.
Yeah,
It's
my
one of those
optimism is running out.
Yeah, it's one
my
of those things
optimism
where
is
it's
running
like, yeah, I get what you're saying, man. I mean, yeah. All right, thanks for the call. Really appreciate it.
Yeah,
nice to hear from a
thank you.
long-time MR listener, by the way. Please call in
Yeah.
again. Maybe next time we could have
Well,
more of a back and forth discussion than you just saying stuff and me going, you know what, you're right. You know what, you have a point.
yeah, I know. I know. I caught you late at night, so
It's all good.
I gotcha.
Have a
Thank
great
you,
night.
bud.
Bye. Hey, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hi. Oh, I'm so sorry. I should shut my computer before I start speaking. This is Mary. I'm from Minneapolis.
Hey, Mary from Minneapolis.
I'm a newer listener. Started listening to Majority Report this last year or so, and since then I've kind of gone down the rabbit hole.
Nice.
And really enjoy your content. So
thank you.
Had to mention that.
Thank
you.
Absolutely. How'd you find out about the show? Oh, no, you said you found out about this through Majority Report, but how'd you find out about Majority Report?
Yeah, okay. So it's a little, I'm a little embarrassed to say. It popped up on my, well, I guess it's a good thing because I found you eventually. But it was from the Ethan Klein Notorious Drop-In. So that was the initial kind of gateway, but since then,
so you would usually watch H3H3 and it was recommended to you, or?
You know, it's one of those things that H3H3 wasn't like an avid watcher, but time to time it would, kind of algorithm pop up. So I would, see things here and there with it, but as soon as I saw that video in particular, I was hooked.
Awesome. That's great.
Super intrigued. So yeah, absolutely. And then, so I was going to mention, I know, I'm sorry, I didn't watch the entire stream of yours tonight, so I came on a little bit later. I don't know if you discussed, I know the last caller you guys spoke about a little bit about Matthew McConaughey's recent speech. Did you get a chance? Did you watch the, or listen to him speak at the White House?
I listened to a little bit. I thought he, I think his speech was very, from what I heard, it was very clear that there was an intended audience, and and I think that's the audience that he, I guess he estimated, and I think he's right. If there was an audience that he could sort of reach, I guess that was who he was going after, sort of like
definitely,
like a sort of like a centrist, maybe not so political type, someone who would be a Matthew McConaughey fan, who maybe not, not too Republican, but also not fan of the Democrats. Maybe, that's what I sort of got out of it.
And it's kind of interesting too, because when he, initially, I was moved by the personal stories, of course. I mean, how can you not be just traumatized after hearing the specifics? So I want to acknowledge that portion of the speech without, I'm not trying to, crap on that or anything by any means, but my kind of left a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth when he started mentioning how, this is, the media tries to divide us, and this is not a left and right issue. Like, this is everybody. Yeah. It's like,
I missed that
part. I understand that, but he specifically says said that the media tries to divide us, and this is something that this should not. I think he verbatim or something along the lines. He said this is not a this should be a nonpartisan issue, or this is a nonpartisan issue, kind of declaring that everybody already agrees that we need more restrictions. And so I'm thinking to myself, I'm just shaking my head. I'm like, that's not true whatsoever. It is not the right. It does not all agree with that. Republicans do not all agree with that. It is directly this side that's pushing against these regulations, that's passing, these different bills and laws to make it easier to get these weapons. It's absolutely historically been a left and right issue. I mean, in a perfect world, it'd be great if everyone saw it that way, but that's just not how it is. So that piece did kind of leave a poor taste in my mouth, but I mean, I can just see my Midwestern, aunt and uncle who are like fairly, run of the mill, like centrist, like to the right, very typical for a lot of people, like in the suburbs and these sort of areas. I think, aren't you from, is it North Dakota or South Dakota?
Oh, no, that's Matt Leck.
Oh my gosh,
That's
I'm
okay.
so sorry,
No,
Matt.
it's okay.
My apologies.
I'm Queens born and bred. That's me.
That's right. Oh, I'm so embarrassed.
No. It's all good. A lot of people mess us up, and I much prefer you calling into my show and thinking I'm from North Dakota than when majority report.
I am so sorry.
But I prefer this to people who tweet at me when Majority Report is live and say, the audio sucks, Matt. Why don't you fix it? That's not me. That's
Well, thank you for putting me at ease, regardless of how embarrassed I am. Well, thank you. But it's just I can totally see somebody like my mom or just your typical, I don't know, not too political quoted person seeing something like this and being like, yeah, no, this is, I don't know, just I guess I don't really know where I'm going other than the fact that it just really kind of rubbed me the wrong way when he started almost making it seem like this has never been because of laws passed on the Republican side of things.
Right.
Because it's yeah, right. I don't know. That piece kind of got to me. But that's pretty much what I wanted to say. But I appreciate you letting me speak and your input.
No, I think your points are great. I completely agree with you. I do think he was going after a certain audience, and I'm sure maybe he even believes that sort of thing because he seems like the type of guy who does believe that sort of thing. But I think for the intended audience and the specific issue, I think it was fine. I mean, I think it was. Yeah. I like I said, I agree with you totally in terms of like my own perspective, but totally was not a speech for you or me.
Right. No, that makes total sense. Well, thank you again so much for answering my call.
I know, and thank you for calling in. I hope you call in again. This was great. I love hearing from new listeners and new callers.
Absolutely, I definitely will. Thank you so much. Hope you have a great rest of your night.
You too. Take care. Bye.
Thanks. Bye.
All right, let's go to. I'll do one or two more calls, and then we'll call it a night, right? Here we go. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hey Matt, it's California. Sorry, I had to mute you. I was watching the stream.
That's what I need you to do. So no apologies, please. I should be thanking you.
It's done. So I just wanted to call in. Primaries are in California today. Looks like from early voting and mail-in voting, youth turnout is something like 4 to 10%.
What's it usually at? Do we know?
I don't know. I think in a on cycle year it's like 25%.
Oh boy! All right, that's
off cycle. It's even worse. But I don't know. I know there's like other states, like your New York's later.
Yeah, we have one in like June and one in August because of the redistricting. So they need to give everyone a little bit more time for the new districts.
Yeah.
What was the big races and?
So there's Sam talked about it this morning with a reporter. There's a recall in San Francisco.
Oh, right.
For the district attorney.
Chesa, right?
Because the cops don't want to do. Yeah, the cops don't want to do shit. And he was going to prosecute a couple of them that murdered somebody. So they basically have been campaigning against him since before he took office. You always want your police unions to be politically involved.
There were a lot of people who jumped into that, though. There was a big effort to recall him. Republicans throwing in tons of money. You had
it's very racialized too.
Yes, you had what was I gonna say? You have oh my god, I can't think right now. Oh, you had a bunch of like tech VCs. That's what I was thinking of. You had a bunch of tech VCs jumping in, trying to get him recalled. They're blaming like every little thing on him. Like,
No, like you could always see it on the Bay Area subreddit, where every there's a reporter called named Dion Lim, who she's Asian, and the only reason that's relevant is because she takes every crime where the perpetrator has even potentially been black and the victim was Asian, and calls it a hate crime, and it can be anywhere. It's not even San Francisco, it's just the entire Bay Area, and blames it on Chesa, and says this is what happened, that this is what happens when you allow reformer DAs. She has a book. She's trying to make money.
Do you think this has been working? I know the results aren't in yet.
Yeah, I think he's probably going to get recalled.
Really? It looks like he's going to.
That would be my guess. I have not seen a lot of support for him. People are really angry at the cops, but they don't really, that's not the way coverage works. In news coverage works. People don't blame the cops; they blame the DA. Because that's just sort of how it works. It's how it seems to work, unfortunately, at least. I can't remember the guy's name. He's Republican billionaire is funding a lot of this. It's not one of the Mercers, but it's I saw a profile on him. But basically, he was the one who. This is the second recall attempt, and he's the one that funded this particular one.
If this is the second recall attempt, how did he win the first one? How is it this one not in his favor?
So they didn't collect enough signatures.
So he wasn't even. The recall didn't even really happen.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, so like I don't know, because I've been watching my county's election returns, and we have 1 million registered voters, and early voting's been like 100. I think it's 158,000 ballots have been cast, and they said that's more than 50% of the expected ballots to be returned. So turnout is really, really low. So I mean, if people are listening and are in New York, you can definitely have an effect, because it's just not a lot of people that show up in these elections, and it's just really frustrating to watch. Like, because the 2 callers ago talking about Dianne Feinstein and how one of her aides was quoted as saying, well, a demented Dianne Feinstein is better than anybody that the California Democratic Party could run to replace her. And it's like, what kind of out of touch, but when over 50% of the turnout is over the age of 65, that's what you get. So, and that's not the demographics. Like, the millennial and Gen Z are bigger than the boomers and Gen X.
Yes.
So.
Yes, they are. I don't understand. I don't get it. Maybe, yeah. I don't know what to say. This is. I hope he doesn't get recalled. Shit. I'm looking into. There's no results yet though. The polls closed a while ago, right? Or at least almost an hour ago.
Yeah. So I'm in Santa Clara County. I'm not in San Francisco. We're south of there. We didn't have a recall. It looks, as far as Santa Clara County goes, like all of the incumbents won. The supposed that's another thing I actually wanted to talk to you about. Is there any sort of is anyone looking into who's declaring as what? Like, as far like if there's organization behind some of these candidates, as far as like sort of snake in the grass type stuff, where this one guy who has run, I think this is his 3rd time running against the incumbent in my district, and she sucks, but she's very conservative. Her name's Anna Eshoo. She's taken like the second most pharma money in the House behind Clyburn, that kind of stuff. And he's running as a progressive challenger, but he's also super NIMBY and super like, he's against Prop 47, which is what raised the minimum threshold for felony limits, like for theft. So we had like one of the lowest thresholds for theft when it came to becoming like what was a felony. So how much you could steal before it became a felony. We had one of the lowest in the country, and that's because everyone thinks of California as being like this super progressive place, but Reagan came from here, and like, it's really conservative. And we had Schwarzenegger, and it was very conservative up until 2000-ish, at least the way that it voted. And so, like, basically they want to, it's the bringing back the tough on crime and all that kind of crap, trying to get rid of like ballot propositions, that kind of stuff. But he's running as a progressive, and so it's just very like, does anyone like, is there organization behind this? Are people, because it costs money to run for Congress 3 times in the same district and lose every time and get like 8% of the vote or whatever, but it have expenditures of like $400,000, $500,000, $600,000.
Mm-hmm.
And so like, and he wasn't progressive at all. Like, so I feel like there's a lot of candidates that are sort of.
Where is this again specifically?
This was in District 18.
Okay.
It's in Santa Clara County.
All right.
It's 16. I'm sorry. They redistricted. We lost a seat, so I was in like the 23rd district, but now it's 16th. So yeah, it's just very interesting where all of the funding for all this stuff's coming from, I guess. And I mean, I know people do reporting on it, but it just never seems to be on the top of the list on all of this stuff.
All right. Yeah, I mean, it is weird what people decide to vote on, like the things that they decide to go out and what matters to them. It's bizarre sometimes.
Yeah, and I guess, again, we're like the guest on MR this morning was talking about where, crime went up 1%, something like that, and people here are talking about it like, oh, I'm afraid to go into San Francisco because of the coverage, but the coverage is sensational and it's also agenda driven and everything. It's very interesting. Yeah, so I just wanted to sort of remind people, like, I know a lot of people feel like electoralism doesn't work, but the turnout.
If we go out, yeah, if we just get out there and vote, man, like, yeah, that's the thing. Like, I know there's depressing losses even when we do turn out, but aside from like Democratic primaries, we could actually really do things when we vote. It seems like we get everyone out to vote during a Democratic primary, we lose because it's just not enough in a Democratic primary. And then when it matters, we're just like, fuck it. I mean, that's the Democrats' problem, too, because that's how they sort of depress some of that vote, too. Maybe for strategic reasons, it would be good every now and then to let the young people, chalk up a win just so they come out during the general.
Yeah, and I mean, it's the cyclical or the circular thing, right? Where, oh, well, if you vote, then we'll pass policies that you like. But if, like, you never pass policies that we like. Then,
well, they do say that, and then they don't pass policies that.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm sure a lot of young people came out and voted for Biden. A, obviously to get rid of Trump, but also B, on the promise that some of the things Biden literally promised himself he would do. And here we are, and he hasn't done them. And it's like, what are you doing, man? What the fuck? Like, at least.
Yeah.
Like, just fucking deliver. Yeah. Just deliver for the people who voted for you. It's pretty simple.
Yeah, I mean, he's failed to meet even my extremely low expectations for him. But at the same time, the reason that I voted for him and didn't vote third party this time was because Trump needed to go. Like that was, and I'm in California, so it's kind of safer. Like I would have had to have had a much, if Trump hadn't been such a threat, and I had been in a swing state where it actually might have made some sort of difference, because the margin of victory is only like 30,000 in Michigan or something stupid like that. Then I would have to give it a harder think. But also, like, if it were a choice between, a George Bush and a Bill Clinton, where there's very little daylight between the two, anyways, that's then it would make sense to me to vote for third party or whatever. But but then, of course, we also keep getting more and more lunatics. Like every time, it just seems to get worse. The Republican Party just, I mean, and I don't have to tell you.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right,
boy,
man.
yeah. It's, thanks for the. Thanks for the, I don't even, there was another caller right before the last caller who did the same thing. What a way to spend the end of the night. No, thank you, though. This was interesting. I don't really know too much about California politics. I mean, honestly, when you were telling me specific areas of California, I even struggled to really visualize where in California you're talking about. I know nothing about the West Coast. So this was very.
I can give you detail on that. That's pretty easy. So San Francisco, the Bay Area is basically just a crescent. There's San Francisco at the entrance to the Bay, and then south of that is San Mateo County, and then the next county south of that, where San Jose and everything is Santa Clara County. So that's where that is, and it's all the really fucking rich people that don't want anyone from the cities coming out to them and all that. It's tech money, essentially.
I gotta be honest, when you were saying all those names of places, remember that SNL sketch, The Californians? That's all I could hear. That's all I could hear.
That's fair. That's the way I get when people talk about where which borough is. I'm like,
right.
Okay,
I'm sure this is just as difficult. Yeah, I mean, I know New York as the back of my hand. I'm sure you know Cali like the back of yours. I know nothing about California. I've been there once, and it was just in 2017, and it was for a couple days. It was a work trip where I basically stayed for an extra few days over the weekend, and the family came with me, and we went to Disneyland one day, and then we just went around to other random places in LA for the other day or two, and that was that. That's my entire capacity to understand California is the Los Angeles area, a little bit down to Anaheim for Disneyland, and then I guess like to the beach, or the whatever it's called. I don't even know where you'd call that area. I know nothing. See, I know nothing, man. I know nothing about California.
Yeah, no, that's fair. The beach is not. LA has some nice beaches. It has some really terrible beaches. And then south of that is
we were walking
Orange
up
County.
We were walking up and down an area. There's a lot of people on like exercise equipment and just randomly doing like flips in the air and shit like that. It was like we don't got that.
Oh yeah,
what were you saying?
Sounds like Venice Beach.
Might have been. I mean, I don't know. I don't remember.
Hulk Hogan used to work out.
It's possible. It's possible. I know.
Yeah,
I know. We don't have beaches like that here. No one's doing. We don't have the facilities, and no one's hanging out on the beach like that here. If you want to go to the beach in New York, you got to either drive out to Long Island and specifically go to the beach to like go to the beach, or you got to.
But then you have to go to Long Island.
Oh yeah, or you go to Coney Island in Brooklyn, and you walk the boardwalk there, and you go on the Cyclone, and or you drive out to New Jersey and go to like Asbury Park or Wildwood.
Mm-hmm.
That's my beach experiences for the most part. Although
Yeah, no, that's fair.
I did go to Fire Island once, and that is one of the That's one of the coolest places I've been. In terms of like the there's like it's like all these little homes right next to each other. All sorts of different architecture though. Like people just I guess decided to build whatever the fuck they wanted because these are like mostly vacation homes. Like I think like 10 people live there year round, and that was really cool because it's like everyone basically lives walking distance from the beach, and it's this little town. With the area I wasn't in like the club area where like all like during the summer it's like all like partying and it's known for like the LGBT community and everything. But that was a cool in terms of like the beach. That was a cool beach.
Yeah. I would. Yeah. If you ever get a chance to go out to California again, I'd say either. And you want the beach, I'd say either go to San Diego or come up to the Bay Area.
Funny thing, all this time we've just been talking about the beach, and I didn't mention to you once how much I fucking hate the beach. I hate it.
Yeah, that's fair.
I can't. First of all, I can't swim, so the water thing there's no interest from me to go in the water. Second of all, I hate the sand. So that's another issue. And so all around, I like boardwalk. So if you got a beach with a boardwalk, I'm there.
Oh, yeah. Go to Santa Cruz then, man.
There you go.
They got like the old style, like you got an arcade and a mini golf and all that kind of crap.
There you go. I'll have to go there. Thanks a lot for the call. Appreciate it. And I'm going to be refreshing this.
No problem.
This shit to see how Chessa does. My God, that's not a good sign if he loses, I think.
Yeah, I think we're unfortunately in kind of a conservative wave this cycle. Just because nothing has gotten done.
We want
in the last 2 years.
A yes vote means to recall him, right?
Correct.
45% reported. I'm seeing it's 61% yes right now.
Yep, that sounds right.
Damn. All right,
man.
It is what it is. Yeah, what can you do?
It is. Take it easy.
Bye. Thanks for the call. Pifford says, got it. Matt was not partying. I wish I was. It was a family trip. I went with the fam. And it wasn't my booking. It was the mother-in-law booked it. And for the kid. And she booked in like the other end of the island. I don't think it was like purposeful to go to the other end of the island. That's just where she decided to book it. I would actually much prefer going to the party end of the island. One more call. Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
Hello.
Hey, what's your name? Where are you calling from?
My name is Santiago. I'm calling from Providence. Sorry, I got kind of surprised to get picked up. I'm calling because I've been listening, and I heard, I think it was your first or second caller, and I heard some jibber jabber, and I wanted to talk about it. I'm an attorney. Yeah, I'm an attorney. I've done defamation law and media law. I've practiced it. I did not follow the Amber Heard case personally, so that's the weak side that I have. I know other people who have. I'll just say it's absolutely not true that in the UK the standard for defamation is higher than it is here. Quite the contrary. And I wanted to thank you actually for doing an excellent job of taking that guy's stuff down, or responding to that guy. And I was also going to suggest, for anyone who wants to hear about this from a perspective that is different and, in my opinion, at least more accurate, what's his name? Michael Hobbs has written a good article about this. He also had a very good appearance on a podcast called Cancel Me Daddy. There's a legal podcast. It's a little bit liberal, but they have I think the coverage that they had for this was pretty good. The podcast is called Opening Arguments. It's run by an attorney, a practicing attorney in Maryland, and his friend who's a comedian, and they had that practicing attorney's associate follow the case to produce an episode or two on it. Yeah, so, and that I can recommend for sure. She also did a very good episode on Britney Spears a year ago, whenever that was relevant.
Oh, right, the Free Britney stuff?
Yeah.
I'll have to check. So I'm looking this up. I'm looking up opening arguments now. Is the person they had on for Morgan Stringer?
Yes.
Okay, I have to check her out.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, she's pretty good on Twitter. She's very good on the podcast. And I think that I'm not necessarily saying that I can endorse the podcast for all purposes, but certainly this coverage I think was very good.
All right, I'll check it out. Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
it was in. I mean, I don't want to talk about that specific caller because again, I don't know his. You know, I think he was. You know, from his. Honestly, he reached out to me a bunch of times on Twitter. I was just not interested because I think the thing he wants to talk about, which is fine, but it's not really relevant to me at this point in time. To me, the more relevant thing from this case is, what comes after and how this case affects everything after.
I could not agree more.
Right. But I also think like a lot of people were following this case, and I think they just don't realize the power that public opinion had on even their favorite YouTubers they were listening to. Like, if you came out for Amber Heard, you without a doubt got rolled, and you quickly realized that if you're just in it for the clicks, you can't have that position. I don't care about that, so I am much in a more comfortable position to say I believe her. I think she is telling the truth, regardless of. I will say it seems like she's not. She seems like she could be an a-hole too, but that's irrelevant. It doesn't matter.
Absolutely. The people can be both assholes and victims of abuse.
Yes,
there's
absolutely.
no reason why that would ever not be the case. You don't have to be a nice person to have suffered something that is genuinely unfair and that you actually didn't deserve.
Right.
And that nobody should have gotten.
Absolutely.
Just because you're not nice doesn't give anyone else the right to do anything to. That was the main thing. I also just in general wanted to thank you. I've been following this show and Scam Economy for a little while. My wife has been following them a little more closely because she's better at that stuff. She's better at keeping up than I am. But we're both big fans.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that, and thanks for the call and the recommendations.
Absolutely.
I'll have to check them out and definitely.
Yeah, I can definitely say all those folks are good folks. They're folks I think have done a lot more of the work. I was prepared to say a lot more stuff earlier when I was a little angrier about it, but you already covered all of it anyway.
Right.
But anyone who really wants to, if what you want is you want a lawyer who has followed this case carefully and has an opinion about it and can walk you through that opinion, I think the Opening Arguments podcast, that episode with Morgan Stringer is what you need. That's what I would recommend to anyone in that position.
All right, I'll have to check that out for sure.
Yeah. At any rate, have a good night. Thank you so much.
Oh, and thank you for the kind words and for the recommendations. Have a great night. Please call in again. I'll take your call earlier next time.
Oh, thank you. I'll try.
Take care.
Right, bye.
All right, let's. That's it. I think for the calls. I know there's a bunch of people who still tried to call in. It's already midnight. I want to read the oh my god, I'm already losing it. The super chats. I'm sorry, callers trying to call in right now. I think that's it for the night. All right, you call in Thursday. Yeah, I mean, I guess I sort of wish I did cover this trial last week when it was still somewhat more relevant. and there was an actual, I think, audience for it. Maybe. I just don't. I'm not swayed by what the public opinion is. To be honest, anyone who knows me knows that, I think, in terms of how I don't give a shit about taking an opinion just for clicks or an audience. You're not gonna get that out of me. All right, let's read some super chats. Zach Bailey with a $50 super chat. I gotta bring this one up on the screen. This is thank you, Zach. Wow. Thank you, Zach. Thanks for your work and all you do. Keep it up. No, thank you, Zach. That's a big help. That's big. Thank you so much. Renee, even if you're Renee, call in. Charitable. I didn't say that. Even if you're Renee, you could have called in, Renee. It's been a while since I heard from you, Renee. You could have called in. Tokyo Hans with $1,000 yen. Can't believe that. Thought for a second. I thought. No, I didn't think for a second. What is that again? I don't even know. What's 1,000 yen to, what is it? $10, $1, $2. Ooh, $7.50. Not bad. I'll take it. Hell yeah. Can't use Patreon due to reasons. Hope these help. When I win the lottery, I will fly you and fam over. Debate me. Topic. Tofu is good. The convo will lead to cancel Roe v. Wade to stop abortion at 16 months. That was a good one, Tokyo Hans. And I would love to go. It's a dream to go to Japan, honestly. So hurry up and win the lotto. I just don't like tofu. It's not for me. Midnight Pizza Mom with a $5.69 super chat. Senor Binder, please move on. There really isn't anything to be gained from the Depp Heard discourse. The trial had its LOL moments. Beyond that, nada. I mean, I totally agree that I think it's, sort of maybe past the time to talk about the case specifically. But I do think there's something there. I think it's a bad standard, honestly. Certainly very concerning. Kowalski with a super chat. Matt doesn't swim, he just panic floats. I don't think I'd even do that. I think I'd sink right to the bottom. Zachamania, would you talk about Kyle the Liar and his college admission lies? Oh, Kyle Rittenhouse and his college stuff? I haven't been following that too much, honestly. What did he say? He was going to Texas A&M and A&M, whatever it's called. And then they said he's not enrolled. And then he came back out and said he was going to a different school. That's like a feeder school for Texas A&M. And he's going to go to Texas A&M or whatever the fuck it's called later on. I'm not sure. Yeah, I mean, something tells me he's not going to flourish in school and won't go beyond becoming a right-wing icon. Kowalski with a that's just my opinion. Kowalski with a super sticker. Thank you so much, Kowalski, with that pear giving me coffee. I appreciate that. Let's go over to a bunch of new subscribers on Twitch. Thank you guys so much. First of all, thank you Freems for the raid. Really appreciate that. I'm going to follow you. Thank you for the raid. That way I could see you next time to repay that. And then let's see. Seesaw BB with a 1 month subscription at tier 1. Thank you. Dude Guy Pal with a subscription via Prime. Thank you so much. Steakum619 with a 5 community gift subs. Wow, thank you. Niles TV just resubscribed with Prime subscriber for 6 months. Wow, thank you so much. Hugh Coyote with the Prime subscription. Thank you. Dude Doctor with a Prime subscription. Thank you. Mike Drewme with a Prime subscription. Thank you. Lancer Zeta with a Prime subscription. Thank you so much. And I think that's everyone from the last stream. Yeah, thank you so much, guys. Wow. Really appreciate all the support, all the love. Thank you so much. Oh, I totally didn't even mention how I owned James Lindsay and Tim Pool today on Twitter. Well, the Tim Pool thing, no big deal. I ratioed him on a silly tweet that he put out. That was pretty, low energy. James Lindsay was low energy too, but my own of him was amazing. He did the okay groomer thing to me because I dared to defend the idea of taking your kids to a daytime drag performance where drag performers do like G-rated dancing, maybe PG-rated dancing. And then your kids interact with them by walking on a runway like they would at a fashion show. My God. Oh my God. The humanity. But I did that, and I defended it because, who cares? It's fine. And James Lindsay called me a groomer. No surprise there. Nothing new. They love to use that word. And so I said, okay, James Lindsay, who is seen here with a member of the, what are they called again? The Nexus, NXIVM. I forgot how they, Nexium, something like that. The sex cult, whose leader, Keith Raniere, is currently in prison for sex trafficking of a child and among other sorts of sex abuse charges. And here he is with Nikki Klein, the Battlestar Galactica actress who was a member of the sex cult and defends Raniere to this day. Dated him for on and off apparently for a decade. And so here he is with a literal sex cult member whose former boyfriend and sex cult leader is in jail for sex trafficking. This guy calling me a groomer. Amazing. If you're wondering what the ratio is, by the way, here, I'll pull up the tweets. All right, not this one. All right, get a load of this. Here's James Lindsay's tweet. Here's what I tweeted. Ban gender and LGBTQ. This is in quotes as if I'm a conservative. Ban gender and LGBTQ plus discussions in schools because it is up to parents to decide when and how to bring these issues up to their children. And then I put, parents decide, take kids to a family-friendly drag show during Pride. Then in quotes again as if I'm a conservative. Not like that! That's literally what happened. So here's James Lindsay, just quote tweeting it, saying, okay, groomer. 51 retweets, 784 likes on James Lindsay's tweet. Are you ready? Here's my tweet. Okay, James Lindsay, who's sitting here with a member of the Nexium sex cult, whose leader is currently in prison for child sex trafficking. The screenshot of him with Nikki Klein. 581 retweets. 6,145 likes. I believe that's what we call a ratio. And he tried to keep going at it, too. He tried to keep going with me. And I just ratioed him left and right. Never come at me, right? Never come at me. This guy's got 300,000 followers, too. To my pitiful, less than 75,000 followers? How do you get such low numbers with 300,000 followers? Bizarre. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's the show. If you're not already a Patreon subscriber and you can afford to do so, go to patreon.com/MattBinder. That would be a really big, huge help. All the other things. Who should I rate on Twitch? Quick Twitch streamers. Twitch viewers, I should say. Who should I rate on Twitch? You know what? Let me do Progressive Brat. That was fun the last time I rated her. I enjoyed her completely, freaking out over it. Because apparently I sent her the largest raid she's ever received. And I like doing that. It feels good to make people, let's do this. I'm gonna do Progressive Brat. Let's do Progressive Brat. This is gonna be fun. I'm not gonna rate a VTuber right now. They were very nice last time. I just don't think that's my audience. Let's do Progressive Brat. It's gonna be fun. Her reaction, hopefully, same as last time. All right, guys. See you all next time on Doomed.